Welcome back to the skating session. My name is Tony Wheeler,
And I'm Thomas Vu.
and it is Grand Prix season. We just finished up watching the Grand Prix de France. It's the first event of the year. This is really, except for the Olympic qualifier, that was kind of an unusual event, but this is really the start of the season for a lot
Yeah.
of people, and this is where things really start to pick up. Uh, Regardless of what hour it is, I always try to watch everything live, and I try to make my work schedule just avoid all of these Grand Prix hours so I can watch everything uninterrupted. Successful so far. We'll see about the other events, but I got through all of this. I watched all of it live. Lots to go through, lots
Oh
of
my goodness, right?
controversy, lots of surprises, controversy. I mean, there was a little bit of everything, and this is just the first event of the season. So with that, let's get right into it. And
Yeah.
so like we said, this is the first event. This was not supposed to be. It was supposed to be Skate America, which is typical, but France couldn't host in their scheduled week, so then they made a deal with USFS to switch. So now USFS is fifth to go. Skate America is fifth to go, and we have France first. This is in Angers. The rink was actually pretty full the entire time. I don't
Yeah,
know if
I
you
was really
noticed today.
impressed.
Yeah,
hmm
today they had that entire section of people that had those blue shirts on, and they
Yeah,
were
what's up with the
cheering
blue
loudly.
shirts? Like it's a
It
new like
must.
fan group, or is it something being funded by the French Fed? Like what's really going on with that? I have
It
no
mu
idea.
it was they were boisterous. They all had flags. I saw during the national anthem they were all holding flags. They were really, really receptive of all the skaters. It was nice. The rink
hmm
looked pretty full. So that's good. Good sign.
Yeah, I love the
And
energy too. And just overall, like the competition, like I felt like it was really good. I love the audience, and I thought this was like a great start to the Grand Prix season.
yeah.
I usually don't feel this satisfied during the first
Yeah.
event.
Yeah,
I'm so
right?
satisfied in so many ways.
Yeah.
Athletically, drama was there,
Yeah.
controversy was there. I love the mic kiss and cry. I hope every competition keeps that up. You're not a fan? Oh, I like it. I like that. Even if it's kind of cheesy, but you kind of see that thought process a little bit of the
Yeah.
coaches.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I liked Brandon Fraser's like positive stuff, and you're just kind of
Now,
like, this is so Joanne McLeod.
it was very, I mean, I know he's being very supportive, and I know that
Yeah.
athletes coming right off the ice, you talk to them in a certain way that's a little gentle and whatever, but he was just so over the top, like saying the obvious. And for me as somebody, I would be like, just shut up, please. But I
I know,
know.
I know. We're both the people who are like, no, just tell me that I sucked because I sucked.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, but
Yeah.
along those lines, it seems like he and Andrew Torgashev kind of have this relationship where they're just like, bro, this, like everything's like chilled,
Yeah.
relaxed. So that was kind of funny to see. But I don't know. I don't really necessarily need the mic to kiss and cry. Sometimes, it's not even mic'd, and we pick up on some funny things or some things we don't really want to hear. You mentioned Joanne McLeod. So many oftentimes I've brought this up over the years so many times, but she like is on top of her skaters the minute they get off the ice from the second they're putting their skate guards on to the minute they walk over and sit down in the kiss and cry. She's in their face like, how did you feel? And before they can even answer, she's like, I'll tell you how you feel. You should feel. This is blah blah blah. Just every single time it's like they can't even get a word in. So that's one that I
That's
always
great.
find funny. But yeah, I could do without really hearing what's going on in the kiss and cry. If they pick up on things, if they pick on up on the skaters being a little brutally honest or swearing. We had Dennis Vasiljev a few years ago was complaining about a skate blade, and that became like a blooper kind of clip that gets shared every so often. But yeah. Oh, but speaking about just in general, the camera work was really terrible.
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 Terrible. Yeah, I
Levito
know.
was
It's
off the screen at one point. I think that Lorian
yeah.
Shield was off the screen at one point. I was trying to really, we'll get into it in dance, but I was really trying to watch closely the Italians just, in the free dance to see what was going on and if I could find places to deduct them. And a lot of the time they're showing their faces only. I'm like, what is this, you know?
Right, stop. Like, then this is one thing too, where I'm like, the people doing like the switching and
Hmm.
directing for events like this need to have some type of like coaching or like training
Yeah.
from from actual like skaters,
Yeah. Yeah.
because like no, we need to see the feet, and that's what drove
Hmm.
me the most crazy during pairs was that they'll do close-ups of the woman's position, but
And the
no
lift.
indication
Yeah.
of what the feet looks like. So you're not
Yeah.
getting any type of like sense of distance or even just like the footwork from the man, which sometimes was a saving grace because a lot of times I'm like, oh my God, I can't watch this when the
Yeah.
footwork is so bad. But yeah, no, it was really awful.
Mm.
And it's kind of typical though for Grand Prix France, so they must like have the same
Outsource.
team every
Yeah.
time. Yeah, where they're
Yeah.
always doing these like artistic crossfades.
Hmm.
I'm like, no, just give me like two camera angles, maybe max, and just show both skaters' whole body and some type of like sense of distance. Like
Yeah.
otherwise, it's just not useful. But yeah,
Yeah. Uh, growing up when we did, and skating was on ABC basically heavily throughout all of my younger years, and the producer and the directors that they had at that time, they would go scout the programs from what I understand, and they would know the exact moments that they could zoom in on the face and nothing was happening, or in the beginning of the program they could keep zoomed in on the face until they move. They knew
yeah.
exactly when to do everything. We haven't gotten that for so long. I mean, that was gone in like what? ABC got rid of skating as like their mainstay in like 2006, 2007. So it's been 20 years, and we get this hodgepodge of overhead camera or artistic zoom in or faces in the middle of lifts and spins and stuff that we don't need to see that, but
I could
whatever.
totally do without that overhead camera. I'd be
Yeah.
so happy if we just never saw it ever again.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's never looked good.
Speaking, you know what though, speaking of which, if you watch really old Trophy La Ligue, when the Grand Prix series first became a thing, 1995, 96, 97, 98, they had this kiss and cry that was like kind of on this
Oh,
platform, and behind it was this screen was like
oh
literally
yeah.
40, 50 feet tall. I mean, it was huge, but it would change colors based on what the skaters' costumes were, which is, you think about it now, it's so ahead of its time. This is 30 years ago, and they're already using that kind of creativity to kind of mood light the rink to whatever the costume color was. So that was kind of cool. France now is no longer, that was the Palais
Yeah.
Omnisport de Bercy or whatever it was. Every single year it was in the same place. Now I don't think that is even open anymore. But yeah, so we get like this hodgepodge of maybe it's good, maybe it's bad, maybe it's simple. And yeah, this time the camera work was just no good. All right, enough of the
Yeah.
complaints, whatever. Let's just dive right into, yeah.
Yeah.
So we're starting with ice dance, and the reason why is because I think we're just going to go on so many tangents here, so many probably conspiracy theories, which I never buy into, but now I'm kind of like, uh, there's a lot going on here. I mean, there's a
There
lot
is.
going on.
Totally, right? Like, because we were going to go in order of the competitions and the way they
Yeah,
finish, but no, we have to talk about ice dance first
yeah,
because it'd be on our minds the whole time if we didn't.
right, right.
And literally, I think the biggest story is just the coronation of Fournier-Beaudry and Cizeron as the Olympic gold favorites.
Right.
There's really no disputing that, in my opinion, that if you could have many reasons why, if I'm thinking about just like, okay, what's maybe a sport based, what's maybe like a internal bias reason, for me, it's if you just look at the field, this whole cycle,
Hmm.
the skating's not any better than it was in 2019. It's actually
Hmm.
worse to me, like the
Yeah,
top
yeah,
skating, if you look at
agree.
the world podium. And so to me, there kind of like was this hunger for more sophisticated skating. And I'm gonna say Fournier and Beaudry and Cizeron like have won me over already. I was so skeptical. I was so just like not wanting to like them for, whatever reasons you want, right? Personality
Hmm.
or the way the partnership ended with Papadakis, whatever. I tend
Hmm.
not to think about that though when I'm just trying to
Hmm.
enjoy skating, and I really enjoyed their skating
Yeah.
so much. Now, did I 133 in the free dance enjoy it? No,
Mm.
but 129, 30 maybe. You know what I mean? Like it's not
Hmm.
like it was a crazy out there score to me.
Yeah.
Generally, this win was really deserved. I can go on and on, but what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think we talked when we talked about these comebacks, we said, Fournier-Beaudry Cizeron would probably almost immediately be in contention for a medal. That's what we
Yeah,
thought. They're going to come back and they're going to be strong. And I don't have any doubt that right now they're definitely a medal favorite. I think well, they're going to be in the Grand Prix final, that's for sure. I
yeah.
think by December and by the time the Grand Prix final is finished, I think they are going to be favorites or maybe co-favorites for the gold. I don't, they can't really go up anymore as far as PCS goes. They gave them pretty high PCS
This
here,
this is Papadakis and Cizeron
yeah,
PCS. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like that's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. So I mean, I think that right now they are clearly favorites for the podium. Sorry
right.
to Fear and Gibson, but they've never ever scored close to this in the free dance, and this is a
Nope.
brand new team. One thing I do want to say, and I mean, we'll get into all this, but the score was super close between the top two, less than a point, right? I think it should have been even further apart.
Right.
However, we have to go to the rhythm dance, and you look at um, Fournier-Beaudry and Cizeron, their step sequence, their choreographic step in the rhythm dance. He had that stumble. It could count it as a fall, which was fair. But the thing is, they only ended up, if you subtract all the points from this, they ended up with negative 0.14 points total. They actually lost points by doing this
Right.
element because they got a 0.86 overall and then they get the -1. Now, you look at what Fear and Gibson got for the same element. They got 8.21 points. So you give Fournier-Beaudry and Cizeron probably ideally another 8 points, maybe, another quarter of a point on some of the PCS for not falling. You have them already at 86 points, 87 points here. Combined with the free dance, this really wasn't as close as it looked like. I mean, it was close
Right.
for the sake of that mistake, but it really was a blowout in their
And
first international.
and they probably would win PCS if not for that fall too. So hopefully the
Yeah,
judges were
yeah,
doing their job and deducting
yeah,
from PCS for the fall,
yeah,
and that's maybe why
exactly.
we
Yeah.
see it. But it's the
Split.
PCS to me is such a story between the rhythm dance and the free dance.
Yeah,
I don't know about you, but it's like you
yeah.
look at here, and we were talking about how it's essentially a split panel, and we're seeing split panels a lot throughout. Um, but before we get into that, let's hurry up. Like, here's the actual results for the competition, right? You have Fear and Gibson in second,
Hmm.
and they were favored to medal anyway.
Hmm.
Reed and Ambrulevicius in third,
Hmm.
and then the Italians, Guignard and Fabbri, skate clean,
Hmm.
and they're fourth.
Hmm.
Yeah, and so this is to me where if you look at like the rhythm dance, you can already kind of see this. It's like, oh wow, the all of a sudden the Italians are now mid eight
That's what,
PCS
okay,
skaters.
listen, I will be the first, and I probably said it since we've started this channel. I probably said it where I want nothing more than Guignard and Fabbri in all those years where it was kind of a dominant, what we have at the top right now. I wanted nothing more than them to sneak in and win the world championship. That was like
Right.
my goal. I wanted them to be the team. I started to see the cracks last year. I really couldn't argue in their favor for very long because I felt like they held on to content that was panned in the beginning and they didn't really want to change anything with it. And all of the elements were just
Yes.
mistimed to the highlights of the music, so on. So I'm starting to see the cracks. I'm starting to see, they're getting older. I think I've said it out there, but I think that maybe he's a year or two past what his prime really
Yeah.
was. He's starting to show, the Twizzles used to be, pretty simple for them. And now you kind of see he struggles just a little bit. It's not
Then
nothing.
the
Yeah.
100%. The coverage isn't nearly as
Yeah.
big as it was. You can tell they're way more cautious. To
Hmm.
me, they're skating slower. But even
Hmm.
that, you can see the technical decline of Guignard and Fabbri, which I
Yeah.
think, really is reflected in the marks. But it's also that this rhythm dance is probably the worst rhythm dance in this
Yeah.
entire season so
Yeah.
far,
Yeah.
by far. It's literally an
Yeah.
awful, awful program. From the
Yeah.
beginning, I just literally started grimacing at
Yeah.
how terrible this choreography is. It's so disingenuous. It doesn't come from any like authenticity at all. It's
Mhm.
almost like these no one lived through the 90s.
Well, they did. That's the thing. They're one of the older
Right?
teams. So
I
like they're our
know.
age basically.
They
You know.
should have listened to this as kids like we did.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
and they did not.
Yeah.
Or if they did, they probably
I
didn't
you
really
know
get it.
I think that they were such good technicians for such a long time, and I
Yeah.
admired how much complexity they have complexity in a weird way because it doesn't really stand out in your face. But if you really watch the programs in the past, they had so much going on, and it gave reason like these transitions
Yeah.
in and out, these kind of curves in and out, these
And they're
unexpected.
gone.
Yeah, and that's but the thing like going to this rhythm dance in the Backstreet Boys, show me the meaning of being lonely. Like there's so many upbeat songs that you have a choice to, and then they have
Right.
to like speed up this sad song. It's like it just fell completely flat. I
And
feel
it
like
makes
they,
no sense
yeah,
being sandwiched right in the
yeah,
middle of
yeah,
Backstreet's Back or whatever
everybody, yeah, everybody,
everybody. Yeah, yeah.
yep,
And it's just like I don't understand that either. Like especially whenever skaters or teams majorly change the tempo of a song to fit the
yeah, yeah,
requirements, we feel that and we hear it. It feels off. And so when
yeah.
the program's already bad and then it's literally, like you're saying, this really sad, depressing song sped up,
Mhm.
it just doesn't make any sense. There's just like a taste level here that just was completely absent.
I
And
feel
I
like
really
that's
don't understand the thought process of what happened into making this rhythm dance.
well, that's that's kind of been their problem for a while with all these
Mhm.
theme decades, whatever. I saw that they made a comment that they started their season what they felt to be too early last year. I think they did Lombardia last year. So now this year they didn't want to start so early, but now you have this problem of going into the Grand Prix. Now you're not going to make the Grand Prix final. I mean, they would have to win their next event. They're not going to win it. And even then it's, they
That's
probably
what's
would get in.
crazy to
Yeah.
me, especially
Yeah.
seeing the field here, how it was a bronze off, right? Between the
Hmm. Hmm.
before this competition, what you would have thought were the favorites for the bronze medal with Veer and Gibson. And then once you see that
The
Cizeron's going to be here
silver.
too, why are you not just going to some any
Yeah.
challenger, getting
Yeah.
them out there, even a smaller competition? Like I
Yeah.
just don't understand this thought process because now it's the start of the Grand Prix season and they have an absolute dud of a rhythm dance. And to me, the free dance isn't any better because it's just an off the rack IAM program. Really, that
Eh,
IAM would give to any up and coming team. It's slow. There's like no transitions.
yeah.
Like the
I
choreography is just really not there. They've lost all complexity to me technically. They are to me actually declining. Um,
Yeah.
and so, like, do I think they've declined to the point to where there's this major drop off that we're seeing? I don't
Hmm.
know if it's that big of a decline. Like, I think skating skills should still be in the nines, but
That's
composition, presentation, no. These eights are justified to me. If
well, here's what I
anything,
have
I'd
to
put
say.
composition even lower in the rhythm dance.
Yeah. But here's what I have to say about that. And I am not one to be like, oh, there's this judging block, blah, blah, blah. Because I feel like a lot of the time the judges do get it right. I think the technical panels, maybe not so much. But just this kind of is interesting to me if you look at the protocols. You see Georgia, Bulgaria, Great Britain, Lithuania kind of voting, if you would, together, and all of a sudden kind of uniformly deciding that this is now an 8.25, 8.0 skating skills team. Now this has not been, I should have done the research to find out the last time they were this low, but this has not been a team at this level for a long time.
Yeah,
Now, the interesting thing about this is Lithuania, Great Britain, Georgia. I mean, those are the teams that have Ice Academy Montreal. They're above them. Now, it's really easy to kind of manipulate those scores to say, well, instead of a 9.0, I'm going to give an 8.25. I'm going to give an 8.0. Instead of giving a GOE of +3 or +4, now going to give a +1 or a +2. That chips away at the score. And it's just curious to see that that was the split that it was because it's literally the teams that are ahead of them in this
right.
competition, and it's trying to, create a kind of distance. And then but then to top it all off, you see again in the free dance, it's the same thing. What I want to know is, how was it? How was it that they just suddenly decided, as bad as that program is, the skating skills are not, an 8.0 worthy. How did they all decide all of a sudden in one event that they're going to, drop it down to that level? It's just very interesting to me. Um, Now,
Right.
Charlene was all over social media yesterday. We're doing this
Yeah.
right after the free dance, but yesterday after the rhythm dance, she was basically sharing every single comment that was saying, this is a scandal, this is nonsense, like this is out of
I
control.
know.
Will it affect them? I mean, I think the writing was already on the wall for them, so I don't think it can affect them anymore. If you really want to push them out of the top 10, okay, but it's looking like, they're going to struggle to even be in the top 7 or 8 at this point. One thing I will say though, I said it right after the rhythm dance, they need to withdraw from NHK. They're not
Yep.
making the final. Who cares about NHK? You're going to go lose to other teams, so now they can say at Europeans
They'll
and
lose
World
to the
the
Shibatanis
Olympics.
too. They're gonna
Well, and
lose to the Shibatanis. Yep.
right, so now they're even further down on the list. And so what I would do, and I don't have faith at all that Barbara Fusser-Poli and the team is going to come up with something, but they really need to find something that hits it out of the park. They need to dump this rhythm dance. I think the free dance has potential. I liked it.
Salvageable. It's
I don't, it's
salvageable enough.
salvageable. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it's nice. But the rhythm dance needs to go completely. The
Hmm.
whole idea just needs to go.
I
I don't
know.
trust that they will do it, but they
But
need to.
like,
They
right,
need to.
exactly. I don't think they get it. I don't think they see how bad this program is because I saw that Charlene reposted someone who's like, "This is the best rhythm dance of the season," and I'm like,
Hmm.
"Oh,
Well,
okay."
to be fair, I think she's just reposting every and anything
Yeah,
that she's tagged in because she's like that. But I don't think it's hurting them. I read that they're not doing the press zone right out when after the skates. They're kind of walking past it. They didn't stay in the kiss and cry, or at least he didn't today to see even the scores. It's sour grapes, whatever. But
they
I
all left
kind of,
early today in the free dance.
yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah.
today even Barbara got up early.
Well, Barbara also, there was someone that nicely translated for us what was being said in the kiss and cry in the rhythm dance. And Marco was the first one that said, really, we got like what was their total PCS for the rhythm dance?
34.25.
Okay, so he said something like 34 for PCS, really? And Barbara replied like right away, and she's like, with this panel, yeah, or something. So like I feel like Barbara's just one of those people that like kind of gets the goings-ons of everything. I mean,
I
she
mean,
lived
she
through,
knows how she won her world title.
well, yeah,
It
that's what I
wasn't
was
through
gonna
the
say.
skating.
She lived through some of that stuff. So, so, but she, she almost immediately, that's what she said. She was like, that is what it is. I still think though, I don't think that even taking aside these four judges that were kind of uniformly lower and kind of in the same level, I don't think at NHK they're all of a sudden going to be getting, 9.0, 9.25, 9.5 for this program. They
Yeah,
they have they have everything to lose by going to NHK. They have nothing to lose by trying to attempt a new program because this they're done for. They are done for. Looking at Fournier-Beaudry and Cizeron, I mean, they are now a favorite for the Olympic medal. Fear and Gibson are still scoring way higher. The Italians have no chance at Olympic medal. It's just how it is. Like they
right.
can't really change that at this point. But to at least salvage something, they just really need to go back to the
Or set
drawing board with this
themselves up
program.
for like a post-Olympic Worlds again. You know what I mean? Who knows
Yeah,
who's not showing up
yeah,
to Worlds and the
yeah,
post-Olympics?
yeah,
So there's like opportunity there too. And if we're just going back and talking about the programs,
yeah.
I actually really like Fournier-Beaudry and Cizeron's new rhythm dance. Like
Uh,
it's
I
it's funny
do.
because it's like the same choreography when it was Depeche Mode, but to
Mhm.
me it just feels
That's better.
lighter. It feels better with Vogue. Yeah. So now they're actually voguing to Vogue, so which is great. More
I feel like
appropriate.
there's like one or maybe two too many instances of doing the same stop in place and doing the Vogue
Oh
movement.
yeah.
That would be my only like
Hmm.
whatever. It's not going to make a huge difference by not doing that, but I feel like that was just a little bit of overkill, like too literal, whatever.
Hmm.
But okay, let's start with the rhythm dance. Like we said, they're losing probably a good 8 points, so they're now scoring 86, 87 with the skate that they put out, and that includes a midline step being called level two and level three. Pattern step getting level three. Like they're not even getting top levels. I don't expect them to because Judy Blumberg
Yeah.
was here too, and she's rough. But like those levels are typical of what we'll probably see all season. It's not easy to get a level four in
Yeah.
those things.
And for
Um,
me too, it's like the GOE story, right? And you
well,
saw
yeah,
this in
yeah,
starting in the rhythm dance and just really amplified in the free
yeah,
dance, where the
yeah,
judges are not holding back. It's almost
right.
like they're getting that credit for
Well,
having Cizeron. You know what I mean? Literally a
yeah.
living legend in the sport. People talk about he's the GOAT, one of the greatest male ice dancers of all time. Now coming back to competition, and even here, first element out the gate, multiple fives in the
Okay, yeah.
twizzles.
The
And they're
the
just recycled Papadakis and Cizeron twizzles.
And the thing is, the Twizzles I could see because we're so hard on
Yeah,
Chalk and Bates and saying, oh, they slowed way down. I don't think that this team is quite as bad as that, but
right.
a plus five is overkill.
Yeah.
However, I do want to shuffle back for 1 second because we're talking about this and the scores they're getting. I saw some comments. I think Charlene actually shared, like reshared in her story, saying, this is a brand new team that's getting PCS like this. This is out of control. No, that's not how the system works. If you're good
Right.
skaters, you get the scores. And I can't really find fault with the skating. That's the thing. So
Right.
I think the
It's really
people that
good
are,
skating. It
yeah,
really is good
yeah,
skating. And I would say it's the best we're seeing in the field right now.
yeah, I agree.
Already in this first
Yeah,
competition back. You
yeah.
look at the world podium last year, I much more enjoyed this just from a skating aspect better than
Mhm.
anything we saw on the podium last year.
Yeah, 100% agreed. You know how I feel about the top teams. I mean, I've been desperately waiting for some. I thought it was going to have to be one of these teams that just steps it up, but we have
Right.
someone coming in that's shuffling everything around. So yeah, I don't think that we can. I think people run to that defense a lot, like, oh, they haven't put their time in. It doesn't matter. They
But
deserve
that's
these
not
scores.
exactly.
That's So there's
Because
that.
I'm gonna say they
So,
deserve this win.
oh,
I think it's a
100%.
deserved
I
win.
thought it
That
should have been
free
even
dance
more.
too. And if it's really that rhythm dance freak
No, not even that. Like
accident.
even
Oh, even
without
more
that.
in the rhythm
Oh my
dance?
God.
You
No,
saying
no,
it's
no,
a
no.
90 program?
No, no, no. Not even that. I'm saying like in the free dance, I think there should have been more distance. I
Oh.
think we'll get into Fear and Gibson a
Okay,
little bit
okay,
of
okay.
my issues, but I still think they
Got
should
it.
have won this by more than a point, even with the mistake. Um, Also, I see there's kind of like there's a crowd on the internet that's very much trying to put them down. And I know probably Chalk and Bates are their favorite, Gilles Poirier maybe are their favorites, whatever. But To comment that Laurence really isn't doing anything besides being dragged around, I think that's
Not true.
completely nonsense. She is his equal. She has stepped right in. And we have to remember, I think people just have these short-term memories. She was the one that was carrying her team previously with Sorensen. She was the one that was so much stronger. If you watch, one of my favorite programs that they did was 2020 three Worlds Free Dance. It was partially Kill Bill. It was like Ennio Morricone,
Oh
but
yeah.
she does so much complex stuff there. I mean, she's doing like she was a strong skater and she was always known to be. Now it's kind of like, oh, she's being dragged around and she's like a second rate Gabby. Whatever, you have your feelings about whatever, but it's not true. She is keeping up with him. I felt like I was keeping my eye on her, maybe even more. And that was in the previous partnership. I For whatever reason, my eye was attracted to what GM was doing, and I feel like now
Mhm.
it's like kind of you see what both of them are doing. I'm just so impressed. I think the free dance is an Olympic moment free dance. It's very subtle, It's like the music
Yeah,
doesn't do much.
it's 2017 Papa and Cizeron, but like
Yeah.
amplified. They took that
Hmm.
concept and went even more
Hmm.
complex, more sophisticated
Yeah.
with it. They
Yeah.
didn't even do like that music change type and like vibe that
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Papa and Cizeron did back then. It's even down to the costumes that are pretty much the same.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
to me, there's just the transitions are so good and they're so smooth already. Like there's just this choreographic nuance all throughout. I'm just so like enamored and like just things that like you don't even think are complex elements like that curve combination lift.
Yeah.
Still, I'm just like,
Oh,
oh,
and they
it's a
zoomed in on
curve
him.
combination lift.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm just
Yeah.
staring and just
Yeah.
watching the whole time
Yeah.
anyway. Like
Yeah.
it's just so good. I think it's probably the best choreographic assisted jump element we've seen since the introduction of the element by far. Because again, it's so subtle, but you don't think about it. This is
Yep.
almost like the reemergence of art in ice dance that we haven't
Yep.
seen since Papadakis and Cicerone
Yeah.
back in 2019.
100% agreed all the way
Yeah.
around. The one thing that there's always something. I feel like, with Papadakis Cizeron on the 2022 free dance, I'm like, they need to move outwards in the last 45 seconds. This really isn't the problem here, but the one thing I will say, in the middle of their choreographic step, they do like these almost push-up movements, which it's like, why do you
I
need that? That is the
know.
one thing that kind of doesn't make sense in the pro. And they're not the only ones. Like Davis and Smolkin had also like a really weird like upside down cartwheel in their program. I don't get it. Like you don't need that in there. Just let the kind of skating, speak for itself. And a lot of these choreographic steps are a bunch of nothing. The Lithuanians, that is nothing.
I
So
know. They're
you
just doing
really don't
nothing.
have to do anything in this step to get the highest scores because we all know it's vibes. It's not really anything else. So get rid of that little thing. But I feel like this program is a winner. I think that they could push it outwards a little bit more. The speed
Yeah.
could be a little bit more improved. I mean, they're not slow. Nothing is like bad. I think all the scores were deserved. I feel like the 10.0s are probably overkill. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
feel a certain way, whatever. But I mean, there's nothing to really fault with how they skated today. So, I mean, it's more refreshing and stronger skated than what we've seen at the top this entire uh,
Whole cycle. This is better skating
Olympiad.
than we've seen in the past 3 years. Nothing
Yeah,
has surpassed
yeah,
this in ice dance. So,
yeah,
like to me,
yeah,
it's by far and away.
yeah.
You're saying medal favorites. I'm already to say gold favorites. They're
Oh, I think by December, I think in December, if people don't really see it yet, I think that they're going to go into the Grand Prix final
yeah.
and they're going to see how it is. Yeah,
Mhm.
I really just see it going that way, and I don't think it's at home at France. I don't think that they were boosted up by these same judges that pushed Guignard and Fabbri down. I think that the scores are reasonable. I mean, I really think for the most part, like you said, the freedom score could be down a little bit if you consider the PCS being maxed out by some judges. But really, you can't over 130. That is already medal contention pushing for silver. Don't make the mistake, and the total score is really pushing for gold already. So it
Oh,
is what
and
it
here's the
is.
thing, though, I think you see too. I think with the emergence of, the return of Cizeron, Fournier-Beaudry and Cizeron winning like this, you will start seeing the other team scores get compressed down a little bit. You're not going to see those crazy high nines for Chalk and Bates anymore. They might go back to a mid-nine team
Do you think that's
or
why?
lower.
Well, you think so? I don't know. I don't know.
We'll see. Well, really, we'll see.
Yeah.
That's just my guess.
But I mean, it would be fair. I mean, I
It
listen.
would be more than fair.
Yeah, it is what it is with Chalk and Bates. I respect what they do. I think that they have a presence and all this stuff,
Right,
and their
but
character-driven stuff is good. But just the overall skating quality and the programs that they put out just really don't
it's regressed in
hit.
my opinion. Last year
Yeah.
was worse than the year before that, which was worse than the year before that. I
Mhm.
really do think that their skating peaked in 2023. And
Hmm.
ever since then, they've just been skating slower. They've
Hmm.
just like less ice coverage all the way around, less speed in the
Hmm.
elements. They're just getting
Hmm.
that reputation because
Yeah.
everything looks so nice.
Yeah.
Anyway, I could talk on and on.
Yeah.
But like Fear and Gibson, like if we're just looking at their programs too, I actually really like them. I
Me
know
too.
like the technical criticisms aside, I love the
No, no,
Spice
no, no.
Girls.
They listen. She has worked so hard. She's
Yeah.
never going to be at his level, no matter what. And it's
Oh yeah.
kind of an unfair comparison to say like she's not as good as him because if you look at where they were 8 years ago,
Oh
7 years
yeah,
ago,
way
6 years
better.
ago, she's really and they've
Just
really
look at the
this year.
twizzles.
Yep,
Hmm.
yep. This year though, they've really amped up kind of the in between two because they were always known as they
Yeah.
have the same formula for the free dance where they're really just skating from element to element. They're getting massive scores on these choreographic elements because they've really been the masters of this new system and taking advantage of what they're asking for. But this year, both programs they've really amped it up to that point though. Spice Girls kind of carry on their own. I don't really think they need these remixes. I know that it's fun and whatever.
Oh
They
really?
completely get the vibe. I would do without it because I feel like maybe it gets a little bit too over the top fast paced for them.
Really?
But
Oh, I don't think
yeah,
so. Okay.
no, no.
I really
But
loved it, like,
I
because it
like
felt
it. I like it.
genuine. Yeah, this is what I felt like the rhythm dance was supposed to be this season. It
Hmm.
felt like in character too. It didn't feel like over the top. It felt like just
Hmm.
perfectly what it needed to be, even down to her lip
Hmm.
syncing at the
Yeah.
beginning.
To
I love
start, yeah,
that
yeah,
little bit too. And
yeah.
then the free dance too, like it's somehow like able to be the Scottish tribute without feeling gimmicky. It feels really fun.
Really? I don't
I
know.
don't think it's gimmicky. I loved it, and all like the hops and
Well,
they're putting the hands over the head
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah, yeah. I think,
yeah.
500 Miles is a song that I love that song. And I love
Elementary
the
school.
beginning, that 15 seconds in the beginning where he does that overhead lift that's like not the completely stretched arm, like to match the music. Everything is so good. But then you get past 500 miles and it kind of gets gimmicky to me. And
Oh,
I feel
really?
like, yeah, a little bit. But I mean, listen, I respect so much that they are not coasting on this same thing because
Yeah,
they really have amped up what's going on in the program
I agree.
outside of just these big choreographic elements that they've always been scored really well on. They I wish the ending was different. I get that it's such a big like Scottish whatever like song, but I feel like the version just sounds cheesy and it's very fast again, and I feel like they don't necessarily keep up all the way. But it is like a crowd favorite for sure. Just seeing how well they skated here, the comparison of where they need to be fighting for the podium, I don't think unless they won gold medals last year based on people's mistakes. I don't think that they're in the question for an Olympic medal unless the same kind of thing happens. Which the Olympics, the original dance as it used to be, we saw that things can really happen in that dance. So they're not out of it. But I just feel like their max is where it is here, and they really never go above that 125. I'm not
Yeah.
even sure what they score. I think it was something
Th-
like that here,
Yeah,
but
125.86.
that's always like their max, no matter what. I don't think that they really score much higher.
Yeah, they've
But
scored a freak like 130 before, but that was like in an NHK where it was
yeah,
just
okay.
like nuts. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, so I appreciate what they're doing, and the Spice Girls, that is a really fun program. I have no doubt that that's going to be a fan favorite probably all year. Um,
Hmm. And so
but yeah,
like yeah, I definitely agree with that. But so going on to the bronze medalists, if you were to actually pick a controversial result, this is the one I would say is controversial.
yeah,
It wasn't
yeah,
what happened with Fournier-Beaudry and Cizeron.
yeah,
No, it's Reed and Ambrulevicius getting bronze.
yeah. Where do we start? Where do we start? I mean, it's like a redundant kind of both programs. Like, um, didn't they skate to Do You Think I'm Sexy by Rod Stewart like a few years ago? I feel like, this is like
Oh, did they?
I'm
I
pretty sure
didn't remember.
I might be dreaming that up. I feel like that was their rhythm dance, maybe even last year. I don't know, the year before, but
Yeah,
they're skating to I'm Too Sexy here. Again, this is such like an audience kind of geared type of program. They're not the only team from Ice Academy Montreal where I feel like they've gone this route to kind of hide other things. But I've said it for a few years now, probably since they won before they even won bronze at Europeans. But I just feel like out of all the teams in the top 10, this is the most questionable one to me. They were like sixth in the world 2 years ago, I think. I just don't understand. I feel like her skating skills are not they're average. I mean, they're not bad, but they're average. I feel like the depth of edge is not really there. I feel
right.
like the content is very, very. it's open. There's not really a lot going on in the programs. There's not complexity. If you want to dock Guignard and Fabbri for all this stuff, then you need to dock even more
Yeah.
so the Lithuanians. But it went the opposite way. They're throwing them these high PCS and these high GOEs for like not even near the same kind of content at all.
Yeah, I agree with you there, especially like the program composition. I'm just like I some judges giving nines for this, and
Yeah.
the free dance. I just don't see it. Especially like the moment in the rhythm dance where they're just like buying time and
Yeah,
posing
a
before the
lot though.
rotational
A
lift and into
lot,
the
a
choreo
lot.
steps. And the choreo steps is just them vibing side by side for the most
Mhm,
part. There
mhm.
isn't even this really complex
Yeah.
interconnected movement. They've really
Mhm.
kind of honed down the rules on the choreographic step to make them skate, closer together.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
you're far apart and you can't touch hands, you're too far apart, and you're
Mhm,
the exclamation.
mhm.
So even with that though, it's just like not there. The athleticism to me just like isn't there relative to the other teams. The complexity is just not there. It's all just element based. It's what you were
Yeah,
saying Fear and Gibson
yeah.
used to do.
Hmm.
Reed and Ambrulevicius are still doing.
Yeah.
And even then it's like this free dance for me too. It's probably the worst version of this free dance we've seen.
And
Like,
yeah, yeah,
everything was just so open. It was, and a lot of it's just a retread in terms of even like elements.
yeah.
And I don't really get what's going on with the music even because I'm just like, oh, are these just like daily affirmations? Like,
Hmm.
why are we hearing this right now in the free dance?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't get it.
And
So
again,
not my
I'm just
favorite.
going to bring this up again. If you're going to hammer Guignard and Fabbri and get this list of things that why, the program's empty, blah, 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 they're regressing. Side by side, there is no comparison. But then you look at the PCS again in the free dance. Who are the judges that really, really prop them up? Georgia, Great Britain, Lithuania, and France here too. But these are all Ice Academy Montreal teams that are, technically they were above the Italians at one point in the competition. It just makes you go, hmm. And like I said, I don't buy into these like backroom deals and scandals wherever, but it's pretty clear something is going on here. I mean, this team should not be getting scores in the nines. I mean, I don't get it. I really don't get it at all. I don't know what they see.
Right. And even then, like you could chalk it up to like some bias, maybe early on when they were getting these higher marks, like, oh,
Mhm.
it's so different, it's fun. But over time, I'm like, that kind of gimmick just like wears away. Like even for me, who's someone who does enjoy them, but I don't
Yeah.
enjoy seeing the high
The
results they get.
scores. Yeah. Yeah. The
Right?
thing is, I like their programs. The thing is, I like them for what they're worth. And this is very much, I remember I used to go get into it with people about Smart and Diaz, and I'm pretty sure you too. During the Olympics in 2022, there's Mask of Zorro that's apparently so brilliant. And I'm like, this is so, like, there's nothing going on in this program. Like, nothing. How are they like raising up the ranks like that? But it's
It's
it's very gimmicky.
moments.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is what they've now stepped into this kind of position. And I don't like comparatively speaking. If you were to put a side by side of Guignard and Fabbri and Saulius and Allison, there is no comparison. Anyone that knows anything about the foundations of the sport and skating skill technique, there's just no way anyone can tell me. I don't care if you're some 80-year-old that's been judging for 60 years. There is no way there's an argument to be made there. I'm sorry, there's not. So
Yeah.
I see why if Charlotte, I haven't, this is directly after the competition today, so we haven't been looking at social media. But if Charlene was on social media just blowing everything up, I would kind of be like, I see where you're coming from a little bit now today. So, but they still need to withdraw from NHK,
They do.
please, please, please. Okay, let's just wrap up the ice dance with Davis and Smolkin.
Yeah.
Um, impressive. Extra impressive. Let's start with this. They had to change their rhythm dance because it was deemed that the Destiny's Child piece that they had in their first rhythm dance, after they competed it, I'm pretty sure two times, they decided the ISU decided that the tempo is not upbeat or like party enough for them. So they had to change this program. This program has to be what, like only a few weeks old. It's whatever. The vibes are 100% 90s though. Like
I liked
the
it. I
feeling,
really
it was
did.
cool. It was cool.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And
right, yeah, even then where it's just like the costumes to me felt super random.
no, no,
This
no.
getting
Hers, I mean, I don't know if like people had
but like
like,
90s random.
oh
Like
yeah,
in like a
okay.
90s way.
Okay, I was gonna
Yeah.
say because it was that hers definitely. I don't know what they were going for with his, but I never really get any of the. I mean, look at Guignard and February. What the hell was that? Like, I don't know what the '90s was about any of this. That was like Mondrian tribute somehow. But yeah, I think that her outfit was really good. The skating has improved.
It really has.
Immensely,
Mhm.
immensely. I've always been someone that's been like, everyone's being too harsh on them because of the association with her mom and nothing to do with her. And some of the events that they've been, I remember 2022, they went to, you probably know off the top of your head, like Warsaw, like they went to some
Yeah.
smaller competition, and every single team there, including Daisuke Takahashi, got scores that were like 10 or 15 points higher than what they had gotten earlier in the season. But the only ones that were like benefiting from this somehow in the eyes of a lot of people were Davis and Smolkin. Oh, her mom, blah, 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 whatever. It had nothing to do with that. The whole panel was just giving out scores like candy. I feel like they have improved every single year. I think
Yep.
this year they've made the biggest improvement
Yeah.
though, and there's like noticeable kind of power more so from her. Again, she's not his equal, but it's not like it's so glaring anymore. And I like both programs actually.
Right. And as much as we like everyone wants to criticize IAM for like, politics or perceived
Yeah,
politics,
yeah,
teams really do skate better
yeah,
because they basically force teams to change the way they skate, right? You're skating more in the knees. You're
yeah,
really more focusing on the skating skills instead of like, the whole Igor style where you're just like run down the
yeah,
ice as fast as
yeah,
you can, right?
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
so now that they're in year two with IAM, no, you can see it. You can
yeah,
totally see this improvement. The transitions are better, the choreography is more complex, and they're really good. It just feels so smooth all
yeah.
throughout. It doesn't feel stop and start. And even then, like I think about the free dance, that opening hydroblade move, oh, it's so
So cool.
beautiful. It just creates this amazing image, and they become this almost like it's a different team. It's a
Yeah,
way different
more
style than
mature.
when
Yeah,
more mature than when like compared to like Igor giving the Moulin Rouge, right? That was just kind of every shtick you could think of for Moulin Rouge,
yeah,
where
yeah.
this too felt like maybe they can start being artists.
Right. And this is
Yeah,
another program. I was so into it, and then they get to I don't know if it was actually choreographic stuff. Towards the end, they do this upside down kind of cartwheel. She does
mhm,
it out of nowhere, and it looked not so smooth, and it also was just so out of place. Get rid of that. Like you don't need that. That's not helping the GOE. They're going to give you
right.
whatever score they feel like, anyways, especially on that element. But overall, very impressed with them. I don't think, I think if anything for Guignard and Fabbri, they skated a good competition, right? So the fact that Davis and Smolkin were only a point below, this is a team that's 10th place in the world compared to the Italians being fourth. That should be, a message enough in
Yeah,
itself to say, regardless of whatever PCS scandal, like make a change. Just you have nothing to lose by sitting out. You're not going to make the Grand Prix final. What's missing? One competition, change everything. Okay, Guignard and Fabbri though, like the free dance, I just really quickly, rhythm dance is trash. We can both agree on that. Like they need to change it. Free dance, I liked it. Now, I know, like it's relatively empty in terms of between the elements, but they still have this. It's hard to explain to unless you really, watch dance and watch the blades. But they're always doing something difficult into and out of the elements that is like no one else does anything like it ever. Um, I liked it. I like the vibe of it. I think that this is probably it's the free dance is much stronger than last year, and I would argue probably than
yeah,
the year before that. Um, I think it's going in the right direction. I think they just got tanked here. I think they got set at that level after the rhythm dance, and they weren't going to climb up into the medals no matter what. But I do think it's scandalous. I do think it's really scandalous that they're not on the podium here. They should have had the bronze medal. I mean, I really feel very strongly that the Lithuanians should not
yeah,
have had a medal, regardless of all the problems with the rhythm dance. They still should have done enough in the free dance, and they should have been rewarded. And you even look though, you pull up the protocol, and the judges are being very, very, they're throwing out plus threes and plus fours to other teams, let's just say. And for this team that gets to the elements pretty well, they're giving them plus. Some are giving plus one, plus two, like almost straight down the thing. And again, not to call out, certain teams or certain countries, but it's like Georgia went really low on almost all the GOEs. Just not low, but conservative. It's just conservative. And Lithuania, especially, they're the ones that threw out the plus one there. I mean, it is what it is. It's to me, it's a loud and clear kind of chipping away at the points in order to get a result otherwise, and that's what I'll say about that. So, like we said, Guignard Fabbri, fourth place, they're not making Grand Prix final. They need to just
yeah.
get out of it. Um, we have a lot to talk about
Oh
otherwise in the
yes.
other disciplines. So, is there anything else from teams 6 through 10 that you want to mention really quick?
Yeah, just a really quick thing is just like, I'll say this, Pate Vi. Peyton By versus Brady and Somerville. You have one team that pretty much the skating skills are kind of just like plateaued for the most part, but they always tend to have entertaining good programs, Peyton By. And then you have
Hmm.
Brady and Somerville who keep improving in my opinion, but oh wow, were these programs just not for them. They just picked like again, I call it off the rack program
Yeah,
where it's a really nice, whatever, right? But it's not for you. It hasn't been
yeah.
tailored to you. It's not good fit. It's not fitting, right? Like
That's the problem of their camp. That is a problem
and it
of their
really is.
camp.
Every team in that camp suffers from this all the time, and I don't really understand when they'll get that message. But like, I don't. Yeah, no, it's just
What
not.
I will say about Brady and Somerville is he is a very, very good performer skater. His edges are very strong. She's all right too. The thing about you're going to choose White Crow, and we've seen so many good versions of this. The thing is, you have to. The music is so perfect for skating as it is, but you cannot do these like smooth movements through the staccato kind of music. The first glimpse I even saw of them trying to listen to the music was at the very end of the choreographic stuff. That was the first point in the music where I'm like, they're actually listening to what the music is saying, as opposed to just skating nicely through everything. And he flows so well, and it's nice to watch. But I agree, like White Crow in blue outfits, first of all, and it's just
And
it
it
would be
doesn't even feel ballet. It
one
doesn't
of
even
my last
feel
choices
ballet.
for them. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so
um,
like, just no. And then Vogue, they do not pull off Vogue, and the rhythm dance
yeah, yeah.
all
I mean, unfortunately,
all
they go in the same competition as Fournier-Beaudry and Cizeron, and it really just looked.
right.
We say this all the time, but it looks like kind of a high school uh rendition-y kind of cute thing for both American teams. Actually, they're kind
Does.
of stuck in this like kind
But
of
Peyton By it
glee.
feels genuine, that's just kind of
Yeah,
the style. I think we've
yeah,
decided that high school is just kind of like their whole
yeah,
vibe and style, which
yeah,
to me works.
yeah,
Whereas like Brady and Somerville just don't have an identity like that
yeah,
yet.
yeah.
I yeah. Anyway,
I just
and then
want to
last
mention one
thing.
thing.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah,
Well, I wanted to mention Fraggi and Forno. I mean, a
yeah.
distant last place here, distant last place. They're coming up from juniors. They were fifth at Junior Worlds last year. I think the year before they were fourth. They've always been in that final group the last, I think, 3 years. Making the step up to seniors, they have Karina Ribera as their coach. We really love her. A few years ago, she was putting out all of my favorite programs. I think she kind of lost her way with some of the programs in the
She's a
last
lot
few
of
years, but
teams now. So
yeah, yeah, yeah. But the thing is with this team, I feel like she's done well with
Mhm.
both programs. I really, really love their free dance. This is more of the vibe that I like. Obviously, they need to go back to basics. They need to work on these individual elements. They don't really have the edges for the levels, and oftentimes the twizzles are an issue. That was a problem
Right. But
in
what
the
you
rhythm
see here
dance.
is that like they're in hold a lot.
Mhm.
Like they're like, there's actual difficulty in the
Yeah,
program. It is
yeah,
more like made for art than sport.
yeah.
And again, I'm always gonna have a problem with that because this is a sport, but I respect, Ari Bear just so much for just that she's always trying to do what the music really dictates as opposed
Hmm.
to just like, hey, here's a bunch of elements, we'll figure out the music later.
Right, right.
Seemingly some other teams do. But anyway.
Yeah. So, I mean, I really have big hopes for this team. There's so many teams in France. I think that one of the teams they're propping up is really maybe not the best team that they have. But I'm going to be very interested to see what they do with Fredry and Fourneau. Because, you know, Dupayage and Nabe, I thought they were like the next big thing, and they've been dumped completely out of the scene. So, um, all coming from the same camp, but I hope that this team actually has a chance. They really need to work on their basics, but they're aware. They know that they have work to do, and um, I'll be happy to see their progression. All right, we are done with ice dance. You have anything else to add?
No, you
No.
mentioned.
Yeah. Oh, it was Frederick for now. Okay.
Yep.
All right, so let's move on to the women.
Oh
Um,
God.
this is exciting. I mean,
This is
I have
another game-changing
okay.
in the competition here. Like, I mean,
This
Nakai,
is
where did she come from?
this is shifting everything that we kind of
Everything.
thought to be true, but the depth, this is one competition, and let's keep that in mind. The depth of Japanese nationals and some of these skaters that skate really well in the early season and they do well to make the
Yeah.
Grand Prix final, they tank by the time nationals comes around and they're like an afterthought. So her winning here is great. I would love to see her at the Olympics. Um, but it is one competition. So let's start the short. I mean, I just have to get this out of the way. I don't really ever have thoughts about costumes, but it literally looks like one side of her dress. She rolled around in sand at the beach and she just like left it. That's what it looks to me. Like, what is that? I don't understand.
Maybe that's the vibe she was going for. I don't know.
I don't understand. I don't know Lestrado well enough to to know like the theme or like if there's some sand involved, but like
Right, but
what was
like
that?
to me though, like what Nakai gave us is just modern skating.
Yeah.
The triple axel just felt like there was almost no setup. It
Oh
felt
my
so
God.
integrated. Same into the triple Lutz triple toe combination. It just felt so natural all throughout. And
Yeah.
just however whoever choreographed this, I didn't really look it up. I should have. Just some it's a lot of genius there. Like, and you want to think like she looks so young. This is like a kiddie
Mm,
program, but there's so much complexity to it. And if you
mm,
just kind of
mm.
judge it on that surface, you're missing how deep everything really is. And
Yeah.
oh God, her skating skills just so good too.
So
I,
the
I don't
triple
understand how
axel.
this wasn't 80 plus, other than the fact that like,
She's new. She needed
exactly.
that. But I was pleasantly surprised. You look at the PCS that she did get, and she even pulled, high eights, even a 9.0 I see on the PCS. And that was for her short program where she's really, relatively, this is her first senior Grand Prix. People don't really know who she is. One thing I will say is I just looked because I remember on the screen after the triple X on the short, that thing was a beauty. That thing was so good.
Mhm.
And I know on the screen that the GOE at the time was like somewhere between +1 and +2. And I'm like, this is absolutely crazy. It should
Yeah,
be so
she
much
was getting
higher.
lowballed so
Yeah, so
so
she
bad.
has +2s across the board except for one +3. To me, just like the snap, the height, the run out, everything, it should be higher than that, but whatever. I will say though, in the short program, with every jump she landed, her mouth is wide open, like this big beaming smile, like she was having the time of her life. That went away in the free skate because the nerves started to come in. But she still has this like joy. We'll get around to that.
Mhm.
I will say though, for me personally, in that short program I was watching it, and just the strength of her skating skills and just the strength kind of all the way around, it reminded me of Yuka Sato. And Yuka Sato is one of my absolute favorites of all time. I got to interview her, I don't know, a long time ago now, but I was like basically like fanboying the whole time. I'm just like, oh my God. I asked her what her favorite program was, and she told me, and then I was telling her what mine was. She's like, oh my God, you really did your homework. And I'm like, no, I'm a big fan. Like, you don't
Yeah.
understand. But I got vibes of Yuka Sato from her. And to me, she is the overall, like, just absolute definition of skating skills as far as Japanese women go.
Right. And
Yes.
even then though, it's like if we talk about this is kind of really upended kind of our own predictions for the Olympics. It's upended
Mm,
the competition and because of like the field and the people
yeah.
basically in the running for medals and the gold. And
Hmm.
but then it's like the competition in Japan is deep, right? But like
Hmm.
outside of Kaori, who's really a lock for one of these spots, right? Like there really is no one
Yeah.
else who's a lock for the spots. And just seeing Higuchi like a few weeks ago just kind of crash and burn,
Yeah.
like I don't really know even if she's going to be able to make it this time around. Um,
Yeah.
so I don't know. I'm really rooting for I mean here. I hope she just keeps up the momentum because this was just such a breath of fresh air.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
please stay through the whole next cycle, even
Yeah.
if you win the Olympics this year.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Everyone kind of had their eyes on, Mao Shimada, who's not old enough, but like she's the one dominating juniors. All these juniors coming up to seniors, they'll fit in somewhere. But
Mhm.
she's, with this one
and
competition, she's most likely in the Grand Prix final now. And
and right, most likely the Grand Prix final, and she beat a clean Kaori.
yeah.
Kaori was clean in both phases of the competition.
Well.
Well, okay, but Kaori clean.
Yeah.
There's like right. Kaori level clean, right? Obviously, even with some help from the judges, Kaori still didn't win.
I think Ami needs to maybe. I think she even said she maybe in her interview right after the win, she said she wants to add, I think, another triple axel, which
Oh my
she
God.
should go for it. I mean, why not?
Yeah, right. Why not? Like,
Yeah.
you're already doing insane things. Keep it up.
Yeah,
Keep doing the
yeah.
insane
But I'm
stuff.
I'm 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 so I'm super impressed with her. There's nothing else to really say. I mean,
Mhm.
all around, I'm just so breath of fresh air. I felt like the music kind of in the free skate was a little bit. You could see she's a junior turning into a senior to me. Um, but it's fresh and it's cute and it's something. I think this energy and this excitement is something that we don't really see all that often anymore. So
No.
it was nice to see from her.
Yeah, and then like, just moving on to Kaori, clean skate. I actually thought like her free skate was one of the best we've seen from her in a long time. I was really surprised by how secure like the landings were in her jump. She was
Hmm.
getting a lot of height. I wasn't really
Hmm.
worried like I usually
Hmm.
am. Obviously the Lutz is still clearly off an inside edge,
Yeah.
but the
I
judges
mean, the thing,
actually, the panel actually gave an exclamation. So should I be
yeah.
happy about that, or should
Well,
I still be like, you're almost there, guys?
it dropped her GOE down.
Yeah.
In the beginning, it's like +3, like this massive GOE, and now you see, she's getting 0, maybe a 1, -1. So she's really kind of just getting base value for these Lutzes, which is still you're not doing a Lutz, so you shouldn't get base value, but that's whatever.
Right.
It is what it is with her. I will say, do you have any, remember we argued about this. Do you have any different feelings about her short program or you still don't like it that much?
I like it. It's growing on me. It
Okay.
does feel like better. Like I'm not
Okay.
kind of like like rolling
Yeah.
my eyes
Yeah.
at it. Like
Yeah.
because Kaori just kind of has that quality where she kind of
Yeah.
draws you anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but like just seeing this and seeing the comparison with like Nakai, I'm like like Kaori's really vulnerable even if clean, and I never really
Right.
thought that
Yeah.
before. I just kind of thought she was kind of like on a downward trend. So she wasn't going to be clean come the Olympics. She's going to have one or two mistakes here and there that really just opens the door to other skaters. But even this, I'm seeing now to where, oh, there's a world out there where she doesn't medal even if she skates clean.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, everyone's got to be on it, but like,
Yeah.
just, yeah,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
And then like she should get a full E on the Lutz. And does she
And
get
that,
it by the time Olympics come? Like they started doing the Medvedeva where they gave her, hey, you're getting an E now on this Lutz that we used to ignore.
yeah.
So,
I don't know. We'll see. I really like her short program. I could do without the dress. I think that needs to be changed. But again, I don't really have deep thoughts about costuming at all, but I just feel like this dress is a weird choice for the music. I think that the program, the choreography is timed really well to what she's doing. I love the little
yeah.
nuance of the arm and the flying camel spin that she does, the donut spin, kind of shades of Oksana Bayul a little bit. Um, I like it. The free skate, this is my thing with Kaori. I love her energy and I love her skating. I feel like 2023, 24, 2025 free skates were just not her. I think they were given to her. I feel like choreographers were like, "Oh, just stick with it. It will work. It's really good." But it really didn't work for me ever.
No, it did
Even
not.
when she skated well, like, yeah, it's exciting that she skates well, but as a program, no. 2022 free skate, this feminist free skate is one of my it is my favorite program of hers. And even some of the stuff she did prior to that, I love it. I was so excited by that program. I haven't really felt that excited. This free skate, I feel like probably goes up there as the best of this Olympic cycle.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm still
But
not
it's not like
super
there's,
crazy about
yeah,
it. Yeah.
a low bar.
But no. I mean, it's definitely a step up, and
No, no, I mean like for
it's
this Olympic cycle, like
oh
her
yeah,
long
yeah,
programs have been
yeah,
really bad, so it's a
yeah,
low bar.
yeah, yeah. So, but she did. She skated really, really well. Of course, the Lutz is going to come down to whether a panel wants to be generous or not. And then also at the end of the program, she lost. She kind of rushed her spin, so she got the V on both, um, which brought down the base value slightly. But yeah, she skated aside from all of that, and she got a level 3 step sequence, but she skated really well. Her double axel's back to getting some plus fives. All of her jump elements are getting at least plus three. She's really maxing out what she can do there, and she still did not win the free skate to Nakai. So Nakai didn't even do a clean triple axel. So I think,
Right.
it's there where it's Japanese nationals is always above and beyond, but now it's just like I don't even know. There's what, like 8 or 9 women now that are going to be in the picture to really have a good day and deliver.
Right. I feel
And
like if I'm Kaori, I just skip the competition and just let them name me at that point. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
Just go train. Yeah, speaking of, there's like another one here, like so Rion Sumiyoshi, she won the bronze medal, and even then, like showing an under-rotated quad toe, but a quad toe in the free
Mhm,
skate. And to me,
mhm.
that's just like, oh wow, like we're all of a sudden seeing these triple axels like being more common and now a quad toe.
Well, she
And
was trying it for a while.
yeah,
She's
she was
been
doing it in
trying, but yeah,
juniors too,
yeah.
right? I want to say.
Maybe I know she was trying quad toe for a while though.
Hmm. But
Yeah,
like
this
she's scores a 145 here, with an under rotated quad
yeah,
and
and nothing
popping
else.
the sock
A double
out.
sock out. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
imagine if
Yeah,
that's clean and everything too. And so this is another person who could really be a game changer come the Olympics,
yeah.
especially if she skates clean between now and then and really kind of has this big moment and huge 150 plus score in the free
Hmm.
skate. Like who even knows like how high the judges would go with her PCS too come the
Yeah.
Olympics. And I'm wondering how much of a Zagitova effect are we going to see to where she starts out in these eights and come the Olympics, all of a sudden she's mid nines competing for the top PCS scores, and
Mm,
we'll see. Like for both
eh.
Sumiyoshi and Nakai, and it's not like saying I think they deserve nines, but the judges
Yeah.
to them.
Sumiyoshi, I would say, obviously, like to me, her PCS was interestingly very high, especially we'll talk about Levito in a second, but also against
Oh yeah,
Nakai. I feel like, Sumiyoshi is much more. loosey-goosey kind of in her core. I don't really see the extremely evident skating skills that you
Yeah.
see in Nakai. She's more so like Corey, who is, so strong and everything's big, but are the skating skills really that brilliant?
Yeah, and I would say
It's
so
more
too.
so.
I see what you mean too in like the body. So to me, there's like a mismatch in the tension between her body and her arms.
Mhm.
She's really great at creating these soft moments with her arms, and her body is just completely tense or
Yeah.
like it's stiff at times. They don't really hold the same level of tension, and
Mhm.
so that was really distracting to
Oh,
me.
by the way, did you happen to see the free skate, the Italians skating skills score for her?
Too.
A 2.00, which is obviously a mistake, but Jesus, like how do you do that,
You're just tired. I don't know.
2.00 is what they gave. And
You had a long night.
the other two PCS were 8.25 just as a
Mhm.
comparison. So yeah, that is a clear mistake.
Yeah.
Um Happens, I guess. I don't know why it didn't. I don't know. I don't want it to trigger and be like, you're outside the box, but like there should
Exactly
be
right. I don't think those should
something
pop
there.
up, but like you
Yeah.
should be really diligent. You shouldn't just be glossing over. You
Yeah.
have that once over of your scores. Yeah, that two's crazy.
Yeah.
I wonder if they get disciplined for things like that because they
Hmm.
should.
Yeah, probably. Didn't double check their work.
But then,
All right.
moving on to fourth place was Levito, which just so much to like talk about in my opinion. Like a lot of good and bad, a lot of worrying things. But if I'm just gonna talk about the good, I love this short program. It's just so rhythmic. It's just almost to me like a perfect short program, especially for her. When you're
Hmm.
talking about like a program that's off the rack, like no, this is like couture. This
Hmm.
is like
Hmm. hmm
literally no one else in the world could really skate this. And there's just such a bounce to it. I like even just the levels, how they change up and down like during the step sequence. I'm
hmm
just
hmm
like I was enamored. Like I remember when I first saw this, I said something to you about it, and you're like, I thought last year's was better. And I'm like, also
I
really
still
good.
do.
I actually ended up really liking last year's short
Yeah.
program too. Um, and so like artistically, I don't there's no one out there who's matching her in just like presence and
She's found a
like
vibe. She has
she's
found
found a
a
vibe that
short
works
program
for
vibe.
her.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I started off last season watching Moon River at Skate America, and I was like, ugh, I don't know. This looks like junior. And then by the later events in the year, probably starting, she wasn't at nationals, so probably at Worlds, I was just like, oh, this is so charming. Like, I love it. I'm hoping I get there with this. I see the potential. I definitely don't think it's a bad program. I'm just kind of like, it's good. Is it one of my favorites? No, but it could get there. Meanwhile, though, free skate. I think the free skate is a masterpiece.
Love.
I
Mhm.
really think this is so well done. She is the queen of basics. She's the queen of gliding. She's the queen of this
Yep.
stretch and flow. Everything in the program, except I don't know what's going on with the triple flip, but this was the same in the short program. She gets way down. She like sits into this low position on the landing. And because she does that, her free leg that she's swinging back, instead of going straight back to pick in for the toe loop, she's swinging it all the way around in
So it
like
doesn't scrape the
180
ice too. You
degrees.
can see that
That,
big
yeah.
effort. Yep.
But doing that, that completely changes your center of balance. That really you have to like think about. It's hard to explain. I don't know. I mean, I used to do double toe, so what do I know? But you have to like think about where you're picking in, and a lot of the times your body will get crooked by doing this. And we saw in the free skate that is exactly what happened. That is exactly
Right.
what happened.
Because she's landing that triple flip differently every time too. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Yeah,
that
yeah.
what you're saying is that like
The
she has a
edge is
different
different
level
every
every
time.
time. The edge is different every time. And so she's
Yeah.
having to just be a cat and somehow pull off this triple
Yeah.
toe at the end. And
Yeah.
so that's I think why we're seeing these constant rotation issues now.
Yeah.
Because the triple Lutz triple loop to me was never rotated. I don't think she's
hmm
ever rotated that cleanly in
hmm
competition,
hmm
despite whatever the panel says. And we're
hmm
starting to see that happen here now too with her fallback triple flip, triple toe. And so
hmm
if she's losing her triple triple, I'm not really hopeful for an Olympic medal at this point because she'll be too far behind of the short program, and she has to be
Yeah.
spot on with her lower base value to
To
really,
make the final group in the free skate,
yeah,
uh,
because she's doing the Medvedeva, flip toe, right? Like,
yeah. Yeah, and I mean, you look at her protocol though, and she has some plus threes in the jumps, but mostly it's a conservative, maybe a plus two,
Mhm. And the
even
judges are
plus
starting to
one.
deduct before the calls for her.
Oh yeah,
That's
you
how
see
bad
already
the
they're starting
reputation is
negative. Yeah,
now, right?
yeah, yeah.
Usually the judges wait until the call, but for
hmm
Isabeau, they're not even waiting.
Hmm.
You're already seeing low GOEs. They're getting lowballed immediately, and so I'm really
Now,
worried about that.
even with that though, I think that her PCS is scandalous. Really,
Too low,
this for
way
me
too
is a
low.
clear nines. I would even
Yep.
say that the composition and even the presentation could be like almost pushing mid nines. I'm not even being sarcastic. I think that
Oh,
she's
look at some of
that
this.
good
Like,
in that
okay,
regard.
yeah, like so I look at the long program, right? I'm looking at the protocol. The
Hmm.
Spanish judge gives her a 7.75 in skating skills.
Yeah, I don't know. And an
Like that's just
8.0 in composition. I don't know.
insanely low. I just don't see
The
how that's
Swiss, I
justified
actually, you know what?
when
The
she's one
Swiss
of the
judge.
best in the world.
Yep. The Swiss judge basically had it right. Um, the judge went for a 9.25 composition presentation. I don't think that's out of the question at all. I really think this program is that
Yeah.
well constructed and her skating is so good. You take away, and a few years ago, I was the one that was harping on her flip and her lutz. The way she would come to a halt, she would
Yep.
grind to a halt,
Yep.
she would bend all over the place. I was harping on that, but you have to look at the rest of the skating. That is not reflective of PCS, and everything else is so good. Sure, her
And her edge
glide, her
jumps are really
flow.
good. Her
Yeah,
edge
yeah,
jumps
yeah,
are really good. And
yeah.
like I totally agree with you. I don't really understand some of this PCS marking from the panel here because to me,
Hmm.
I'm the same. Clear nines. This long program was really complex too, but
Hmm.
it's like in a subtle way that's not in your face, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It probably choreographically the best program of the women in this competition.
By far.
Both sets, I would say. Um, and I used to like harp on them too, even for, like for their programs and how they were really kind of like, oh, whatever. I'd be really critical of like the themes, they don't fit her.
Hmm.
Whatever they have found, this magic, it's really working these past few seasons.
Hmm.
The packaging is so good too.
Hmm.
PCS here, I don't know what's more scandalous. Is it the PCS for her here, or is it, in ice dance for Lithuanians?
No, the Lithuanians. I mean, at least some judges went for
They
nines.
did.
Like quite a few of actually almost half the panel went for nines in
Yeah,
composition.
but putting her
Um,
third or fourth in
yeah,
PCS, that's just insane to me.
yeah.
I would have put her
Agreed.
solidly first in PCS, but
Agreed.
we're one person. We're each just individuals in this.
Yeah.
Um,
There's the rest of the field, there's really not that much to talk about. Lauren Shield had a really good free skate. She's made pretty good improvement in her skating. I
mhm.
still think it's relatively empty, but the basics have gotten a lot better. She has this crazy technique where she's kind of twisted all over in the air. More often than not, she ends up, landing perfectly fine, but in the air, it's not so
Yeah,
pretty.
you're kind of like you're gasping and holding your breath a little bit, like it's
Alexei
almost like
Romanov used to do that with his triple axel. He would go up like this. Literally, he'd be so tilted, and he would land
mhm.
it almost every time. Reminds me of that. But so she's a clear fifth here. She
Yeah.
is kind of running away with that race to the French, the one
Mhm.
spot they had for the Olympics.
And then
Cheon Kim,
this competition is also full of a bunch of skaters who had a lot of like promise before, who had a lot of success in the past, and are now just
yeah,
kind of like not been consistent. We
yeah,
have Cheon Kim here finishing in fifth, sixth place behind Shield, right? And she's a
yeah,
gold
yeah,
medalist. Young Yu's what a four continents champion, I want to say,
yeah.
or
A long
medalist.
time ago, she was
Asian.
big though.
But
Yeah.
right, yeah, she's big. She used to have a triple axel. Jia Shin was really big in juniors, and now she's making this.
The thing was with Gia Shin, I see the potential in her, and I
Oh,
still
there
think
still
that
is,
she
yeah.
could do. Yeah, I mean, she had big mistakes in both programs, but I think she's so elegant. Probably besides Gubanova, maybe the best use of arms out of any of the women. I see the potential in her. She needs to skate a little bit bigger. She needs to move more into the mindset of
Mhm.
being in seniors than in juniors. That she was second place in juniors for 4 straight years. She needs to make that kind of oomphy way up into seniors, but I really like her. I'm not giving up on her quite yet, and as
Yeah,
far
I'm
as
not. Yeah.
Korean skating
Mhm.
goes, because I think a lot of the Korean skaters are more cookie cutter. Like any of them could skate each other's programs. With her, I feel like there's a little something extra. Um, and
Agreed.
then at least Lynn Gracie, she had that one really good skate last year. And she's world
She
junior
has
medalist
two really good
too. Well,
competitions, and
yeah.
then all of a sudden, just yeah,
So the thing is with her though, I feel like she had to be really strong almost all year to be in contention with the 5 or 6 names that we already
yeah,
have. And this, she just doesn't look so. I don't want to say she's disinterested because I know nerves are a thing, and I know you could sell the hell out of something, and then it's time to actually do it, and you just freeze. But she just doesn't really give her programs anything,
yeah.
and I thought that the Gladiator, this music kind of is beautiful in its own, and I still got nothing out of it. that the music selection was a weird one. So I don't know.
Totally agree. Yeah,
Not
I
impressed.
didn't really get it either.
Yeah.
That and you can just see this here too. I totally see what you mean where there's like a big disconnect between the performance and the music and then her, right?
Hmm.
And it's almost like it feels like she's doing all the right things, right? There's a lot of
Hmm.
great movement. There's a lot of like natural grace that you can see, but
Hmm.
there's no feeling.
Yeah.
None of it. It feels
Yeah.
all really cold, you
Yeah.
know, and I don't
Yeah.
know how much of that is just her natural kind of style, maybe, or how much of that is her, like you're saying, nerves and trying to like
Hmm.
hold that all in, or just maybe an inability to really even emote outward. But
Yeah.
we'll see.
All right. Moving on. Let's go into pairs so we don't make this 15 hours long. Uh
For real, right?
All right, so the big, it was a clear top three here, and then there's kind of a race to
Yeah.
see who's going to be fourth, whatever. Miura and Kihara, so recycled their painted black. Yeah, we spoke about this, how this is, I think both of us would agree it's by far the best program they've ever had. I don't mind that they're keeping it. Really, they said they worked on it in the off season and elevated it. I didn't really see that much
Yeah,
difference,
I
if
want
at
to say
all.
like elevated it, okay,
Yeah,
as
yeah,
much as
I
they're
don't.
capable of, I guess.
Yeah. Um, well, the one thing I will say about them, and this is just a nitpick, but if you're going by these rules, their side-by-side jumps are the furthest away probably of any senior team. I'm
I
any senior team,
know there
not in the
is
top
so
five,
much distance.
right? But they still manage when they don't get called on a queue or an under rotation, they still get pretty good GOE. Shouldn't be the case.
No,
I mean,
exactly. Like I'm looking here at like the protocol in the short program, and it,
mhm,
it got a Q call, right?
yeah,
So far apart too, and the Japanese judge gave it a positive GOE. I'm like, no, that's just insanity. Even then,
yeah,
the zeros are unjustified. To me, that's a -1, -2.
yeah,
There's
yeah,
no way it could be any higher than that. But yeah, they're definitely getting the benefit of the doubt for that, whether it's like, world
yeah.
championship reputation or whatever. But yeah, their jumps are just probably their biggest weakness.
Of course,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, this
Um,
pairs
so,
kind of everybody's.
Exactly. Like everyone could get through everything else but the jumps. The free skate though, so this is another Gladiator, and this is one of my
Oh
favorite
no.
soundtracks of all time. Literally,
No.
this is like it is top five soundtrack of all time. I don't love that everyone's going for this opera version. I get that it's in Italian and they're going to
It's
Italy for
too
the Olympics.
much.
Use
It
the original. It's so good.
Yeah. Let your
Use it.
skating speak, right? Your
Yeah.
skating's part of the music and the
Yeah.
instrument, that's
Yeah.
going on, right? But when
Yeah.
you have Bocelli just kind of blaring at you, it just feels so overwhelming. And they don't skate to meet the level that he's singing. They really
Right.
don't. They
Well,
don't
this
have
is
that presence that does it.
Yeah. This is early season and I they could put excitement. I feel like the program is relatively empty.
Yep.
Um it's kind of
And
a
even with empty, they can't really hit really great positions ever. They're never showing any
well,
type of
yeah.
unison or match lines. It's the kind of their normal. But it's just like you're saying, you can't do that and have an empty program.
Yeah, well, I mean also uh, I don't know. I think it's like a best of. It always is with them. I mean, they found out where to get their high scores on their lifts and they keep doing the same lifts and a lot of the movement is the same. One thing I will say, I didn't actually check. The triple salchow she did was clean, right?
Yeah, in
Yeah,
protocol.
it looked in real time. I thought it looked pretty good. It's one of her better efforts in the last little while.
Yeah, but
Uh,
triple toe Q, and then they had that
mhm.
single axle mess, and the
Yeah,
GOEs from -2 to -5. I'm like,
yeah, yeah, yeah. It was sloppy. We'll see
was.
how it turns out. But
Hmm.
I think that they're always a little bit on edge sloppy. I mean, that is their style. They're never going to be refined. They're never going to suddenly get the most clean lines. It's not what they're known for. And they have Duhamel coaching them, and Duhamel got by on the big elements and the high scores. It was never really about the lines, and that's fine if you can find the
Right.
formula to get to the top.
Well, Dumel thought
But
her lines were just as good as Volashar's, so.
but she also did a throw quad salto. So, but the thing is about them, we cannot expect them to suddenly become these refined skaters.
True.
So they got to take what their strengths are and they got to run with it. But I do think this is not a team that's here, but I think that the Germans and if the Chinese are coming back, you have to contend with these teams who really do have it over
Hmm.
them in that regard. If you don't really have a complex program, then what do you really have over the Germans? Because the argument with the Germans was that they're new and they're a little bit slow and they're not really having these complex programs. But when you're looking head to head, I mean, there's really one has speed and power but no finish. The other one's like very well finished, and it'll come down to the rotation on the jumps. That's it. But
Yeah, but talking about lines, oh, the Germans, they have lines for
Yeah, yeah,
days,
yeah.
like just whole opposite. Like, give me Haas and Volodin any day right now, because
Yeah.
like that's what I really didn't enjoy the pairs competition nearly as much as the other phases just because of that. You didn't really see kind of like the art and the beauty and type of skating. It's really just kind of like I'm rooting for my favorites, and it was more kind of
Hmm.
like that aspect to
Hmm.
me. Um, but like there was just a lot of sloppiness to me that I feel like the judges were overlooking, especially
Yeah.
in
Well, they
that
always
the
do. They
final
always do.
lift. That final
Yeah,
lift, that
yeah,
exit was a total mess. And there's
yeah,
still a judge that gave it +2 GOE.
yeah,
A bunch of judges gave it 0 even, and I'm just like, how are you not in the negatives for this?
yeah,
And
yeah.
even then, I look at the reverse lasso lift. That position's terrible. Her position's just terrible.
Hmm.
There's no extension out with her legs. It's just kind of like flat, like she's struggling like with her
Yeah,
core to keep the legs at all. There's no point at all. Like it's just I don't see how that's a +3. I really
yeah.
don't.
It's a lot of speed and a lot of kind of
Right.
bombing
And
into
as long as you're
everything.
not looking at her position at all, I guess it's fine, you know? Like,
All right. We're
anyway,
moving to the Canadians, and this is one I know we don't agree. Stellato-Dudek and Deschamps. So so
which one do we not agree on? All right, let's
both
short
of them
roll off.
apparently,
Okay.
both of them. So Carmina Burana for the short program. You know, it starts off with this like opera, slowy, whatever is this music. But I don't I think it's okay. I think that this backward somersault, yes, that is the one thing in the program that people are coming out saying this is the one thing. But I thought the program wasn't that bad. I mean, compared to last year, it's infinitely better, I think. No?
But to me, there is no program, right? To me, it's like
Mm,
until that step sequence, the
yeah,
music is irrelevant.
yeah, yeah,
They could be skating to anything, right? And they're better than that, because to me, Deanna's really musical.
yeah.
And so maybe it was just kind of like the overall issue we noticed with them in the long program. I don't think it's been clarified what it was for sure.
Well,
Um,
what they
but yeah,
said, so this is really curious. Let's just jump into the free skate. So their first element was supposed to be the split twist. Went up,
single.
did a very clean single. Like it didn't look like a struggle. The thing is, they said afterwards that she hit his foot when she was about to go up and it threw them off and she did a single. I talked to one of my pairs coaching friends and he said that looked like an intentional single. Now, I don't know if I buy that completely because the thing is that they just looked kind of shell-shocked after that. Like he looked like he was not on that entire program from that point. Like I think it really phased them because they said that had never happened to them in practice. I
Oh,
don't know.
okay. I
Yeah,
can see
I don't
that.
know. The program fell a little bit flat for that reason. I think they were both a little bit like what just happened. So for that reason, I don't really necessarily buy into that being intentional. You know, they said they hit their feet. I'm sure if we looked back, we could probably see
Yeah,
if
I
they
didn't
did.
rewatch it.
Yeah,
I'll actually go back and rewatch it after
yeah,
this just to go
yeah,
see that. But
yeah,
yeah, like I also the
yeah.
long program though was so I wrote here so boring.
I think it takes. So I knew in the summer that they were using Poeta. I knew that they were using it, but I thought that this was the piece that they were having problems clearing as far as copyright because I
Mm,
thought they said that they had that. So I thought they were getting rid of it. They still have it. This was a piece that Stefan Lambiel used, and it was one of everyone's favorite program 20 years ago. I think it's okay. I think it takes too long to get to the really kind of
yeah.
upbeat, more recognizable music. Um, I can't. I don't know that I can really judge the program as a whole fairly because like I said, he usually is just so chill, whatever, and he was off the entire program. So I don't know if they it's really hard to leave things out, right? Because you would have to like talk about it as you're skating. You can't just like decide we're going to leave this out. And I didn't see any of that.
Mhm.
So maybe the program just is really empty. Maybe, you know, maybe there's some, I don't think there's any injury thing or whatever going on, but I do think they need to step it up. I just think that you look at 2024 and they had two programs that were just so character, whatever fun, that people were maybe blinded by all of that. And now they're
I think
seeing
that's true. Because
the,
there is a lot of like, you're saying like their ability to perform and be in these characters to kind of get
yeah.
do these gimmicks. If anything, like I honestly would prefer they go back to those programs for this season.
Well, you know, they've had
Considering
this
what we've
music
seen
picked
already.
out.
It is the year of the reused program, so
Yeah, yeah. I don't think they need to. I think I think they have the capability of stepping it up. I would like to see the program without that fluke mistake in the beginning to really know. Even with that said, and I'm a huge Deanna Stellato fan. I mean, it is now. I went to nationals 25, well, almost 26 years ago in Cleveland. That was her first senior nationals. I saw her there 26 years ago. It's crazy.
We're
It
so
is
old.
crazy. I mean, I'm not that old, but like the fact that she's been around that, she was at Junior Worlds that year. She's silver medalist there. I mean, it's amazing. Like, I am such a huge fan of hers. I think she can step it up. That being
I
said,
think so too.
Hungarians, I have a soft spot for them. They're both so receptive to like they were so friendly to me at Skate America. They've really stepped it up. He looks
They did.
completely different. He gets rid of this mustache and this long hair, and now he's clean cut and looks like this, professional. I don't know. But they went to Luca Lanate, the ice dance world champion, for choreography for the short program, I think. I don't think it was the free skate, but they have stepped it up so much. Their programs were kind of borderline cheesy. Like, what is this prior to this? I mean, Sex Bomb last year, and it was just a bunch of whatever.
Literally, yeah, I totally agree with you. The short program is so good. I
Hmm.
remember being so surprised, like I'm enjoying this a lot.
Yeah,
There's something wrong with me. But then they get to the
yeah.
step sequence and I'm like, oh wow, these holds and changes of hold are more
You
complex than
can
I've
see an
seen
ice
in most
dancer did
ice
it.
dance programs.
Yep,
Like
yep.
literally, I was just
No,
blown away.
the
The extension is so much better too. Just
yep.
like everything. I
And
do
they
think,
actually they
yeah.
relate to each other more now. The
Mhm.
the one thing that they had 2 years ago, they were going to every competition 2 or 3 years ago, and they were skating clean programs. But they weren't getting the PCS because there was no connection to them. There was no connection to the music. They looked like they were two separate skaters.
Mhm.
Then we see like their exhibitions are kind of fun, and we see that they have personality. She especially really big personality. It's starting to come into the programs. Like, I think they actually know each other now enough to be like, all right, we're gonna go have fun rather than this being two separate skaters.
Right, right. Plus Venus like go get lunch
So,
together.
well,
And it worked
exactly.
out, right? Like
But to that point of loving Deanna, I still think that this team was silver medalist here. They should have the Hungarians should have won the silver medal, I think.
I would agree with that. Yeah, yeah. I do feel like they were a little lowballed. And especially like in PCS in the short program, like you're still seeing that the judges are just giving them solid like sevens and everything, and I'm like, oh no, I think they're better than that.
Well, the free skate isn't as good. I have to say that's Amber Glenn music. I'm like, why is
The
this
Amber
music
Glen
all
music,
over
I know.
skating
I
now?
didn't
Why?
realize this is gonna become some type of skating
Uh,
staple. I thought this was
yeah,
a
why?
purely Amber Glen music genre. Like
I would almost, now that they have personality, I would almost want them to go back to these cheesy or whatever programs,
and lean
because they
into
can
it.
sell them
Yeah.
now. Yeah,
Mhm.
But this to me, it's very nice. Everything's very nice. They have a very traditional look to them. Um, but I'm not as big of a fan as the free skate. I still think though that they did enough to
It
be
really
silver
was though.
medalists.
What really got them in the free skate was just really botching the combination. Like what were
Yeah,
they supposed to do? Triple toe, double axle, and then like I remember seeing this where he just steps out of triple toe and she's looking at him and holding this landing to be like,
yeah,
do
yeah,
I go for this axle yet?
yeah,
Okay, I'm gonna
yeah,
go for the single, and he doesn't do anything, and I'm like,
yeah.
oh no.
Oh, but we have to go back. We have to go back to Stellato and Deschamps for a second because remember, it took forever for their scores to show up in the free skate.
Right,
What was said by Chris Howarth was that their triple toe double axle, that initially when they reviewed it, they took away the second double axle because they deemed that he like stepped out and did too much in between the two jumps for them to count the third jump. And then really last minute, they added it back in. Now that did
right,
not make the difference between silver and bronze medal. It wouldn't
right.
have been enough on its own. So that's whatever. But I think it's another one I should have gone back and watched, but it was a
Right. Well,
long day
even
of
look at that,
skating.
right? Like giving them that. So, like, I think in pair skating, especially that three jump combination or now sequence you can do, their base value is 10.8, but you only lose the GOE for the highest jump.
Right. Yeah.
So it's a -5. They only lose 2.1 points. So they're still
Exactly.
getting
Yeah.
8.7 points for what is essentially a disaster
Yeah.
element.
Yeah. And well,
So
because what we're explaining there, in case that was fast. So the triple toe is worth what? 4.2?
yeah,
4 point, yeah. So a -5 on that is losing half of the value. So it's negative, you would lose 2.1 points for that. For the entire combination. You're not losing. Now, if someone goes and does a quad, 10 points and they fall, it's -5 points because you're looking only at that one jump. But when you're looking at three jumps, you only take the value of the highest you only take the highest base value, and the -5 would be from that jump only. So they're really keeping the value of, at least if they can get through the two other jumps, they keep that value. And that's what we're talking about, at
yeah,
least
exactly.
in
Right,
this
exactly.
situation.
So
Yeah.
it's like you have the base value of three jumps, but you're only evaluating a GOE value for the
Of
highest.
one. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so like that really just being able to get that base value up in this element is really important, and it pretty
Throwing
much.
those jumps in. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And if Pavlova and Sviatchenko were able to do the same thing, they would have got the silver here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that really was that big difference, was that big
Yeah.
mistake that the Hungarians made.
Yeah. The battle for fourth place between McBeath and Parkman and Shin and Naj,
Ah, yeah.
both. So, like we said in the Olympic qualifier, Shin and Naj did not force themselves into that competition. They did not force anything. This was USFS decision that ultimately backfired because we see how Chan and Howe have scored this season. There would have been other better options to send to that competition and get the third spot for US. They sent Shin and Aj. They didn't qualify. They're like third alternates now. Not going to get into the individual competition. At least they're not going to get that extra spot. Here, though, I was really impressed by comparatively between those two teams, based on how they skated, that Shin and Naj were able to almost be at the exact same score as McBeath and Parkman in the free skate. Because McBeath and Parkman, I mean, they had their issues, but it clear from like a distance, it didn't seem like there was as much like bad stuff going on. I don't know what I'm trying to get at. It just didn't
I know what you
seem as
mean. Like, yeah, yeah. It feels like less weakness. It feels a little cleaner. But like
yeah,
even to me though, it's like yes, but everything to me with McBeath and Partman still feels so raw. Like they're
yeah,
still kind of like figuring out just so many aspects of their skating and even how to skate together as a pair. Like I don't
yeah,
feel that real unison ever. I don't
yeah,
feel that oneness. Whereas like Shin and Naj, I just feel really opposite. Again, I feel like there's a big disconnect between the two in terms of like
yeah,
expression, but then
yeah,
everything else feels really clean and finished, right? The lines are better. I feel like there's a higher upside. I think the level right now is still below McBeath and Parkman, but Shin and Naj
yeah,
still have that higher upside, and so maybe
yeah.
that's what USFS is seeing and thinking. I really don't know.
Hmm.
But in terms of like, yeah, the face-off, I'm like Shin and Naj keep losing all the face-offs to these
Everyone
the
else,
direct
yeah.
competition, right? Like
Hmm.
for
But it was close.
US
I mean,
pairs.
it was closer than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah,
If you so I people like to say if they would have skated this way in this competition, their score that they got here, if they would have scored the exact same in the Olympic qualifier, they would have been ahead of the Kovalevs. So they would have been first alternate. There's a little bit of a question on the rules because the rules say that if they go to the alternates, then you cannot go to a country that already has spots. You need to go down to the next country that doesn't have any spots at all, which is like a little quirk of the rules that I'm pretty sure they didn't mean to say. Yeah, yeah.
oh,
I found yeah, I was pointed that out yesterday and I looked and sure enough, like one rules, it's very unclear. It's the ISU, but one rule kind of says it one way, and then you look at the one of the qualifying documents, and it's like it will go by the order in this competition. So who knows? But it's trivial now. But the point is that had they skated that way in the Olympic qualifying competition, they would have been, in the Kovalev skated a clean short program there. So it's not that this team is like so far below. They just had a really bad competition, and that's it.
they did. Yeah, yeah. That freak, Naj losing his toe,
The
the
death
pivot in the
spiral.
death spiral
Yeah.
in the short program
Yeah.
really did them in here or in there in the qualifying. But even here though, like I can see more. Like I was really harsh on them in the qualifier, I remember, and seeing
Yeah.
this, I'm like, okay, there is more here. I was appreciating them as a pair more. Although like it's still odd to me that like he stopped skating with Lou because probably her jump issues, right? Even though she's making a comeback now. Whereas
Yeah.
here, I'm like, oh, he still has a partner with a bunch of jump issues.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's
Like, and who was a single
It's
skater?
US skating. It's US skating. It's a single skater that got hit with a lot of under rotations. I think
That's
like
fair.
I remember some competitions where every single jump got like under rotation call or something if I remember a few years ago.
And
But
that's what we're seeing here too.
yeah. Yeah.
Literally every jump in that triple toe, double axle sequence under.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to the men. That just finished up like really recently in the last few hours, like
Yeah.
right
Oh,
after
I'm
we
still
started.
like kind of feeling that like, oh wow, like this is a really great competition. Like
Yeah,
the man,
yeah.
oh wow, yeah.
So Ilia, I always have a lot to say about Ilia. The kind of thing that I've been fixated on for this entire Olympiad is, you know what, give him all the points for the technical. That is, far and away, he's going to run away with competitions as long as he lands the jumps. However, if you're looking at skating skills, if you're looking at the content of the program, it needs to not be in the nines because this is not, you look across all the disciplines, you're not throwing nines to skaters that are skating kind of equivalent programs in other disciplines, unless you're reading Ambrulevicius, I guess. But the thing is, I see his attempt to improve. We all saw the exhibition that he put on at Worlds and we're like, wow, he really can be an artist. He really can fill out his programs. It's a different story when you have required elements and not so much time. This is the same case as 95% of the skaters. Short program. First of all, what is that outfit? Like, let's just again, I'm not big on outfits, but I don't know what it was.
All the
Like,
straps going
I
across.
don't,
I would
it's
say once with
weird.
that outfit in both programs, but all the
Oh
straps
yeah,
going
yeah, yeah,
across.
yeah, yeah.
But like,
Yeah.
yeah, costume aside, I feel like that's just Ilya's thing. He's always gonna have bad costumes. It's kind of just been his trend. There's a taste
Hmm.
level on his team that's just not there, right? I
Yeah.
prefer going to Nathan's style where it's
Yeah.
almost no
A
costume.
t-shirt.
Give me a
Yeah.
t-shirt, something out of
Yeah.
Shaylin's closet she forgot about. Just
Yeah.
that'd be so much better.
Yeah.
But like this short program is so good. And
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
the surface, if you're just describing it to me, I should hate it.
Yeah.
It's so much choreographic, just kind of like typical stuff, a lot of just like tropes that you would think of this style of like, Arabian, Egyptian, Middle
Mhm.
Eastern type program, but it's the way he performs it and then the way it's choreographed. Like that
The first
opening
minute,
first
the
half.
first minute,
Yeah.
first minute. The choreography, the transition into quad flip, and then what really just kind of took me aback was that like it's not a moonwalk, but it's like those cross cuts
Yeah,
kind of
the
backwards
backwards
into
into the
the
triple
triple
axel.
axle. Oh my God. I'm
So
like,
good. And
so
it's
cool.
to me, it's this program is like a few tweaks from being an absolute masterpiece,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And so much of it though is that choreographic brilliance in the beginning. It's how difficult all these transitions were, how everything
yeah,
just feels like the complete opposite of, again, I go back to this, but Patrick Chan's criticism of quads and figure skating, because he only had the one, so he always,
yeah,
anyway.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
But this wasn't that. This wasn't that at all. There wasn't just
yeah.
these clear setups constantly happening. It was
Hmm.
integrated. And
Hmm.
it's also though Ilia himself and what he adds to the program. Whether you call it swag, I'd
Yeah.
call it earned arrogance because to me there's that level of that. I don't think it's a
He
bad
just
thing.
lets loose.
He lets loose. He
Yeah.
knows he's the best right now, and if he
Hmm.
just skates relatively clean, he's the winner. He has that
Yeah.
confidence going into
Yeah.
everything. And
Yep.
I'm just this program's brilliant. I love it.
Hmm.
I It's probably the best thing he's ever done in terms of
Hmm.
like a program,
Hmm.
and it's gonna be one of my favorite programs this whole year.
I
Don't
don't
think
know.
anyone else can skate it though. It's
I
because
really liked
Ilya
his
is skating
short.
it.
Yeah, I really liked his short program last year as well. I think maybe I would say I like that one slightly better, but I do agree the first minute here is it's just cool. It's so cool. He has a
Yeah.
coolness about him and he hits it out of the park, I feel like with his short programs. Now, the free skate though,
Yeah, no.
I actually, but I want to bring up something, and I don't think we've talked about this, but Robin Cousins did an interview and he said he takes a really big issue with all of these elements being called choreographic this, choreographic this. Because why are you calling an element choreography when the
When they
entire
all should
program should
be.
be choreography? He's saying what I it's so common sense, and I should have thought of this, but it's like exactly what I think. Like you cannot just make the entire highlight of the program be the choreographic sequence. And I feel like in Elias free skates, it tends to kind of lean
That's what he's
into
doing.
that more than
You
it's
know,
more of like a
mhm.
Plushenko kind of formula where you get through everything and all of a sudden you do the step sequence on their toes, and that's what gets the audience going. But until that point, is there really anything going on? I will say, I know the brigade of Elia fans will say, well, he's doing really difficult quads. Why, how do you want him to do all this difficult choreography? It is possible. It is completely
Look at the
possible
short program.
to add something in, and he does. He still has that nice entry into the quad flip, but I feel like, the beginning of the program is big jump, big jump, big jump, big jump. He gets to the second half, it's those three big jumps in a row. It's all that last jump pass that he does that always has that triple axle that's kind of like it looks like it's a last ditch kind of throw in, but it's planned. That all kind of like gets out of control a little bit in terms of like that's the only thing going on in the program when he's focusing on those jumps. I think he could do more. I think we've seen that he could do more in the exhibition, in the short programs. I think he could just add a little bit more in and I'd be satisfied. But for right now, it's kind of just focusing on the big jumps. And I get it. They're jumps that no one else is doing. I get it that it takes a lot of energy, but there has to be some kind of program
Right, because
throughout. It cannot be a Robin Cousins situation where the choreographic sequence is the only choreography you're looking at.
in his composition then, if you're gonna skate that way to make room for all the big elements, needs to be in the sevens.
I mean,
I,
I would have said that I would have said that at one point, yeah, and I could see where it would be. They're never going to do that though, so it's
never.
like
Yeah.
beyond. He's
Well,
already
he
a
got nine.
9.0.
He got over nine for
He always
composition
is.
here. To
He's
me,
always
that's
like
just
88,
not.
89, 90.
Yeah,
Like he always he's stuck there. The thing is, unless he completely falls apart technically, he's going to win because
100%.
the PCS will not go down low enough. No one can really catch him. I mean, Kageyama would have to probably do four quads perfectly, everything else perfect to even have a chance, and then they have to go to almost 100 on the PCS. That's really the only way that anyone's going to beat him. Do I think that that's fair? I mean, that's the rules. I can't argue the rules of the technical ability of him being so far ahead of everybody that he can run away with it because that's how it is. I just want to see, I know that he has this artist inside of him and I want to see more because and oh, let's speak about the music too. The music is just with the voiceovers, it just doesn't go anywhere.
And it's yeah, it's to me like so I saw someone say like pretentious. I won't go that far with it, but it's a
Yeah.
lot. It's a bit much. Like
Yeah.
I just wrote down some of the quotes too from the voiceover that like stuck with
Yeah.
me. Where he
Yeah.
and it's Ilia saying these things
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
track, embrace the storm.
Hmm.
You are something, not
Yeah.
nothing. And I'm just
Yeah.
like, okay, okay. I didn't need like your quotes from therapy and like all that
Yeah.
stuff or your sports psychologist to like,
Oh,
no, like
yeah.
I don't really see where this program is going. We heard Chris talk about it and say what it was. And it's like it's a program that's a reflection of his personal growth, his
Hmm.
experiences, his ups and downs and figure skating in the last 14 years. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
I just started just like making this face. I'm like, what? No,
Yeah, I mean,
it's
but
hear
honestly,
that and
it's
even see that in the program at all, other than in the voiceovers, and it's just a
yeah.
lot. It's I'm not a fan of
It
what
really it doesn't matter what he skates to. It doesn't
doesn't
matter what kind of program he puts out. It's just it is what it is.
it
He is a freak as far as the jumps
yes.
go, and I respect that.
And I'll take the brilliant short program, even if the long program's a total dud to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
But you know, it really brings me back to when Adam Rippon was going to skate to Diamond, but you know, he was gonna sing it,
Oh,
and
he did that at the
But UFX made him stop, made him like get rid of it, wouldn't let him sing it. They thought it was like too much, and now clearly USFS just has no problem with
Well,
Ilya doing
didn't he
voiceovers.
didn't Adam go to like NHK in
I think it was Grand
2017 or
Prix
something? And
France,
he somewhere, but I thought it was maybe I
or
don't
maybe it
know,
was
but he like
NHK. Yeah,
sang it
he
instead
sang it
of
and he
doing an
refused to
exhibition.
skate. He just went on the ice and sang, and that was his expedition or exposition. Yeah, yeah,
Exhibition.
exhibition. Like, oh my goodness, yeah, that was such a moment. But I'm literally just
Oh
like,
my
oh,
goodness.
so if you're just like a multi-time world champion and whatever, they're just gonna let you do what you want. Taste
Yeah.
level aside, who cares? And yeah, that long program costume, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah,
I'll save my
me
criticisms because I'll be
neither.
way too harsh out loud, but I don't get it. It speaks to nothing to the theme either. Just put
Yeah.
him in a black t-shirt.
Yeah,
Works
yeah,
fine.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Um,
let's move on to Adam Siao Him Fa. Yeah, this okay. So the short, actually, both programs. I like both of them this year. I think he's done well with his programs this
me too.
year. Um, More in the direction that I like him in. Um, but another costume that's just like, what is this? I don't mind it so much. It's just, what is this? Like,
Like this whole creation of Adam and that whole thing and the print on it, I was just like really not a big fan of
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Although I'm pretty sure I have a Renaissance print shirt somewhere.
I'm sure. So the short program was messy. Once again,
Yeah.
it's last year he was like eighth in the short. He climbed back to win this year. Problems in the short program looks like the jumps are just a hope and a prayer sometimes, and other times, like in the free skate,
Always.
we'll talk about it. Like it's sometimes he nails them to like +4, +5 quality. But yeah, the short program, I just like the way he moves. I know that it's kind of like a torn, like Benoit is so pretentious and he gives him these themes that don't make any sense. But I think that Adam has this like innate way of moving very in a modern way that's bringing skating kind of more current. And you see
Yep.
that with Andrew Torgashev too. But you're seeing like this kind of diversity and movement throughout the whole body that's makes sense. And I like the freedom that he has in his skating. So yeah, I liked the short program. And then the free skate I actually really, really
Yeah,
liked.
me too.
Um, the first two jumps that he did, that quad lutz and then the quad toe, those are top quality jumps, like top quality jumps.
I
The
know.
run
I'm
out,
really like he
everything.
was lowballed in GOE for that quad
I
lutz.
thought so too. Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I'm seeing here like some judges gave it only a +2 in the US and the Swiss
Mhm,
judge, and I'm like, no,
mhm.
that's plus
Yeah.
three. I probably would have gone +4, you
+4.
know?
Yeah.
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 Especially that run out was so good. It's better
It
than
was
Ilya
so effortless. Like
quad
there was
lutz in
not
terms of like the
one
run out.
doubt from start to finish. That's
Mhm.
something Ilia's trying though. Let's go back to Ilia for 1 second. He's trying to hold the landings of his jumps. And that's one thing I've critiqued him for in the past. He has these big jumps, they
Mhm.
come down with a thud, and there's really no run out. It's kind of just like it's hidden by like he'll do like a twizzle out of it or he'll do some kind of movement out of it because there's really no flow. I saw now that he's actually holding the landings,
Mhm.
he's actually getting some run out. So credit to him for that. But going back to Adam, so yeah, those first two jumps wonderful. Got through the majority of the I mean, really got through the majority of the program without a problem. Now, yeah, you pointed out that there's six jump elements in a row. Yeah, I get it, but I still think that the the actual composition of the program is okay.
Yeah,
In
well,
my opinion, it's okay.
maybe overall because it's not like anyone else is doing that much better, you know. It's a
Mhm.
6+1 instead of a 4+3 in terms of like,
Yeah,
one element in
yeah,
between the jumps. But
yeah,
it's just this is kind of just a trend for like him in general, where he just tries to get so many of the jumps out of the way
yeah, yeah,
before he can perform, and maybe
yeah.
that's a strategy. But
Mhm.
you can see to where here, like he's losing out a little bit because that triple axle, double axle sequence doesn't make it in the second half. It's a few seconds short.
Yeah,
Even get a 10% bonus there.
right, right.
And that's probably going to be an issue he's going to have all year,
Hmm.
I imagine, unless they just kind of like do a little bit of extra buying time between
Yeah,
that, like the quad
yeah,
sock out. But I really enjoyed this too. I think that's a big step up, but also I feel like everyone needs to be aware that he kind of does this a lot, where he'll have a really brilliant skate in
yeah,
competition and then do nothing for competitions in a row, or
yeah.
he'll be really great for competitions in
Oh
a row
yeah,
and then just fall away. Like yeah,
this was
it's
his
hopes
best
and
skate.
prayers every time.
This was his best skate since 2024 World's Free Skate.
Yeah.
Like, and that's,
Mhm.
we're talking about a season and a half ago now. So yeah, I mean, he's really hit or miss. A lot of the time he's been miss. Um, it's kind of
And even
unpredictable with
even winning
him
that world medal, it was a real big miss
from
in the short.
20th in the short, yeah, or
Yeah,
21st,
yeah.
wherever he
First
was. Yeah,
group to the log
yeah, yeah,
to a
yeah,
medal. Probably the first
yeah.
time ever, and maybe the last time.
No, no, it will be the only time, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, so he's silver medalist here very comfortably, moves into silver medal position. Nika Egadze, let's talk about him. His last two seasons on the Grand Prix, all four competitions, he was fourth place. All four competitions. I feel like at Europeans, he's been fourth, maybe once, maybe twice. He's always been like fourth place in everything. Finally gets onto the podium here with a bronze medal. Short program put him really, I mean, 95, I think, points in the short
Yeah.
program. He's working with Benoit now, at least in the short. Uh, I will say this about him, and I've said this last year. I saw his exhibition at Skate America to Deadpool, and it was so funny and it was so character driven, just full of personality. And then we see he had two free skates last year. I'm 99% sure that both of his free skates, all seven jump elements, were the first seven elements in the program. I'm pretty sure that's how it was. So he's focusing hard on these jumps, really not offering much of anything in the program. I mean, minimal whatever, but not really. I feel like he's stepped it up this year. I feel like we're seeing glimpses of his personality at least. Um, I mean, his core skating, his foundations, like you watch him in practice, and he's actually a pretty decent skater. I don't know if it comes across so well in competition the way that his programs
No,
are.
he doesn't. I think he's
Um,
stiffer in competition because that's the thing what
yeah,
I was noticing. Like his skating
yeah,
skills and his knees feel really stiff. He doesn't really
yeah,
get really low at all.
yeah.
And it feels like that in the landings of his jumps too, where everything just feels like thud and lands on a flat or something like that. And then
Mhm.
it felt really off to me a lot. But I can see what you're saying. There's a
Yeah,
lot of improvement
yeah.
like in his skating. Even then too, it's like the presence and musicality I'm seeing more of. But the jumps to me just they always feel like random. Whether
They're
he's going to make
very,
them or not,
there's
I,
like
I never
no
know in the
preparation.
air.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because they always look the
Um,
same, and then just the landings just wildly different every time.
Yeah, yeah. The free skate again, I feel like he's trying more and he had
Mm.
little glimpses of I remember at one point he like looked up right at the judges, which is like something new for him. But then he gets to the end of the program and the music changes and he does this weird like stop in place and like shakes his hips and
Oh,
flails
during the
his
step
arm.
sequence, yeah, that was
Yes, I
very
don't know.
like,
That
okay,
was so out
yeah.
of place. Yeah, that was
hmm
like a desperate like, look, I'm actually doing something. Like he
I
could
have
do
some
more than
charm.
that.
Please, like, give me the
Yeah.
PCS.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what that was all about, but I do. Like I'm so happy. I have a soft spot for him. I've watched him at Worlds and at Skate America sit in the stands at one point by himself and watch all the other skating and be supportive of every other skater, and he's really into it. So I'm happy that he's finally on the Grand Prix podium. He has potential to get to the Grand Prix final. He scores massively in the short. You have to look at this Olympic team event situation, and it's looking more and more like Georgia's really going to be in there for the bronze medal. So they
Oh
have
yeah.
that to deal with too. So yeah, I'm happy to see his improvements. Lukas Britschgi from Switzerland, he's current European champion. I feel like since that, he's really had
Yeah.
not so great skates. He was outside the top 10 at Worlds, or maybe he was 10th, something like that.
Yeah, I thought the short program was just kind of like a dud. And this is what I say about
Yeah,
him is that like
yeah.
he's not someone who can skate to a mainstream program. He needs a
Mhm.
really kind of like I don't want to say
Theme.
this and like I don't say this in a bad way, but like something tacky.
Cultural.
Give him
Yeah,
something tacky and he can do it
yeah.
really well. And he does
Hmm.
it in an enjoyable way that doesn't
Hmm.
feel any type of
Hmm.
like offensive or anything. At least to
Yeah,
me, right?
yeah.
I really enjoyed it. So where like you look at his short program, I just felt so bored, right? Especially
Hmm.
when the elements aren't going his way. And then you look at the long program to where I'm like, oh, I'm really enjoying this. It's
It
so
was I was into
he
it.
leans
Yeah.
into it. He just gives this
Yeah.
full invested performance into maybe something you would never pick for anyone else.
Hmm.
And so I really liked it. Even if the choreography is just kind of full of all these tropes and all that stuff, like
Yeah. I feel like he's in the free skates, he's doing like these kind of cultural whatever. Like he's very into learning about different cultures. You know, it was an African program, I think last year or the year before. And now it's like this Arabian kind of esque Middle Eastern whatever
mhm.
vibe. Like he even said in the like at one point he said his costume apparently in the beginning of the season he thought he looked like Aladdin. Like that's what the vibe he was getting from himself. But he really is invested in kind of exploring all this stuff, and I feel like he's more in tune with the program when it's something like that. So yeah, I liked the free skate. It was actually a pretty decent skate for him.
Yeah.
Um,
Especially
and
with how he's been skating, like again
yeah,
after the
yeah.
European Championship. So like no, yeah, so I really
Yeah.
enjoyed it. Like I think again, if not for like these few like issues he had, like he easily could have been bronze here. It is just cleaning that up, especially with
Hmm.
the short program mistakes.
Hmm.
I really enjoyed the long program. I kind of think though that's kind of like the most we'll get maybe from him is that European title, right? In terms of like achievements, but like no,
Hmm.
I
He
really
needs to just come back at 100%. He still looks tight in a lot of his jumps. So
yeah.
um, I like him though. I think he's interesting and he's beyond supportive of all the other skaters. I always see like his comments always pop up on my Instagram as like highlighted comments for almost every other skater. So he's very supportive of everybody. Surprise, fifth place, Francois Pitot. Again, this is the guy that like broke our hearts in the Olympic qualifier. Like he literally needed to do a double axel probably in that program to get into one of the spots to get the third spot for France in the Olympics, and he fell short, completely fell apart in the free skate, was deflated like within the first minute. He was just over it. Um, Now he's like third alternate or fourth, like he's way out of there. It's not even a thing. Um, Really a decent. I mean, he had to come back from the short program, but the short program wasn't even that bad. So
Yeah.
I'm thinking though, with the free skate and climbing up to fifth place and having a decent skate with no quad, he has a quad slalom, or at least he attempts it. He was attempting it earlier in the year, not even attempting it here, but still finishing fifth place. I would say, Luke Economidis was in this competition as well, and he's finishing way below him. So I think that when you're looking at worlds, it's kind of a weird situation. France only has two spots to Europeans because of Kevin imploded there last
Okay,
year
but
as
not
well.
unusual for France
Right.
to have more
But then
spots at Worlds than
at
Europeans.
Worlds they have three spots. Yeah, so you're looking at that and assuming that Adam and Kevin are both going to go to Worlds, which they might not even, but I would say if they do, then Francois is like the clear and away
Yeah, I would agree with
favorite
that.
to take that third spot. So
Yeah, and even then, it's like it wasn't my favorite necessarily program choice for the long program, but I did really enjoy it because I really enjoyed his skating.
mhm,
I
mhm,
just he doesn't have like to me the skating skills to really carry the theme, especially toward the end.
mhm,
Like because it's step sequence spin, it just really slows down.
mhm.
It feels really like tired there, but it was really good skate for him. Um, I was really happy that he was able to pull up, especially after the Olympic qualifier. So like, yeah, it's
Yeah.
really good. And I really
Yeah.
hope they send him to Worlds. I know it's France. The choices sometimes can be weird, but I don't see who
Mhm,
else they could really send at this point.
mhm.
Mhm.
Andrew Torgashev, kind of by luck, because I think fifth
I
through
know.
eighth was
Thank you,
all like
Japanese men,
very,
for
yeah, but
imploding.
I mean, like literally, fifth through eighth was also close together, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, no, he was yeah, less than a
Yeah.
point behind
Yeah.
Pitot.
Yeah. So he climbs all the way up to sixth, had that bad short program. I mean, it was not great. Again, what else can we say? Like the king of flow, the king of like all we talk about what Adam does in kind of modernizing the movement in skating. I think Andrew has brought it to even a higher level with just
I
that
think so.
ease and that just command of the ice. Um, I
Choreographic sequence was just like to me
yeah, yeah,
brilliant at the end there. Like you
yep,
talk about like skating skills being able to carry the end of a
yep,
program. That's just
yep,
like Torgashev in spades. I don't
yeah,
know who else does this better.
yeah.
It's almost like he's skating these kind of Nathan Chen style programs
Hmm.
that Ilya's also kind of adapting, but he just does it
But in
better without the
with the
jumps.
skating skills, yeah,
Right, with the
with
skating skills, right?
yeah, yeah,
It's the performance is so much better.
yeah.
And this is a really good recovery from him after being last in the short program. Now to pull
Hmm.
up to sixth place. Again, thank you, Japanese men, for
Hmm.
helping Torgashev in his quest for that
Hmm.
third Olympic spot.
Hmm.
Because he was
Yeah.
so close
Well,
to getting no qualifying points, or at
yeah,
least
but
no ranking
yeah,
points. competition.
The thing is though, I think looking even at his short program, I mean it wasn't a complete implosion. It was what, 71 or 72,
Yeah.
something. Like yes, he didn't skate well. However, there's no Tomoki Iwatashi is on some people's radar because he's had two
Oh
good
no.
competitions. But the thing is, with him, he is at the mercy. We're going way off base because he's not in this competition. But Tomoki is at the mercy of a lenient technical panel every
Mhm.
time he takes the ice because of the way he rotates his jumps. They're always a little hooked on the landing, and if a panel really wants to go to town on him, they're going to, and his score is going to tank. So I feel like that's a very risky choice even with the good results he's had earlier this year. He has two Grand Prix events now, so we'll see how he does there. But the point being, I mean, Andrew really doesn't have to go above and beyond to still be considered probably the third best in the US,
I would
even
agree.
considering his world's placements less. I mean, he's finished outside the top 20 two times now, but there's really like no one else is going above and beyond to show that they are that choice. And Andrew's free skate score here is better than what I'm pretty sure everyone else has been putting out. So I would say
Mhm.
that he didn't really, even if he wouldn't have climbed up because they were so tightly packed together in those final results, I still think that
Yeah.
he's looking like he's the one to beat. Um, and then just going down the list, I mean, we talked about both Japanese men kind of imploded, especially Kao Miura. I feel like last year at Skate America, I was writing about the practices and he was missing almost everything. He was looking miserable. He was falling so hard on triple axles that were not even close. I thought he was going to knock himself out, and then I was 100% sure after that first day that he was going to withdraw. I was so sure of it. And then what does he do? He skates like a clean competition, literally, like insanely good. But then all year long, he goes to his next Grand Prix. He's really good in the short. Then he implodes the free skate. So now he's out of the Grand Prix final. Doesn't make worlds. I feel like he's just not 100% off his injury. And now it's just going to be the case of is he on or off today?
Yeah.
And he was really off today. He was
It's
last in the free skate.
it's a shame too because like I what was the other? I remember he got two long programs choreographed.
Yeah, Phantom of the Opera is the other one, I
Oh,
think.
oh my God. I'm so glad he
Yeah,
chose Last Samurai.
yeah,
I remember being like, oh,
yeah,
choose Last Samurai because this other option's terrible.
yeah,
Um, and that's what the biggest shame is. This program's really good. This
yeah,
program is so good,
yeah.
especially like the way the opening is built and how like he's just barreling and speeding into all these
Mhm,
jumps. You can see to where it would fit in with the music. There's so much nuance throughout the choreography too, especially during the
mhm,
step sequence. I'm such a big fan of this long program. I
mhm,
really want to see it skated decently
mhm.
clean at some point. But like you're saying, like this has just been his trend. I don't think he's been the same since injury. Like
Yeah, yeah,
I don't really know what's going on. It's kind of heartbreaking because I would love to see him at the Olympics.
yeah. Me too.
At this point, I'm not sure if that happens.
He's a clear second best all-around skater for me in
Yeah,
Japan. I'm not talking about consistency. I don't need people telling me,
right.
oh, but the scores. I don't care about the scores. When you're looking at the all-around package, I think that he is only behind Kageyama. I think everyone else is.
And I think what happened to like Suboi and Miura here, we have Kageyama, right? Who for sure in the team event they'll probably have do the short program, but is there anyone reliable to be that substitute? Because
Yeah,
I
but
think it's a
is it really going to
disservice to make
matter?
Kageyama do both phases, right? You cannot make this man do that. It'll just kill his chances in the singles competition. So
Yeah,
like
but does it really matter all that much though? I mean,
it could be a 4 point difference if the Japanese man's getting last place.
yeah, but I mean, Kageyama can also crash and burn in the free skate. We've
That's
seen it,
fair. That's true, but
So,
not to the
you know,
same level,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And he gets more benefit of the doubt. Like if you're looking at the PCS here, like they weren't very kind. Like
yeah.
Suboi's in the sevens, Mura's in the sixes in presentation.
Well, because he
That's
completely fell
considering the
apart.
disaster.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, but yeah, like I don't know. I just that's what I worry about for Japan, like a little bit, because what they're
yeah.
silver favorites. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're comfortably silver favorites. I mean, I don't think, I think there could be a push for the gold depending on if they had a really perfect everything, but I don't think that that's really in the cards for them. Other than that, we kind of, Selevko has that short program that I really love. I
Oh,
got you
good.
onto it last year. Yeah, started off really good in the free skate, then kind of fell apart. Not as effective, but I feel like out of all the skaters, he's maybe the most innate, like understands the music the most. I don't know if it transpires as much in the skating, but I feel like he really understands the music. Naumov was here, actually not that bad. His overall event score was not that bad.
Mhm.
Um, I feel like the programs are better, but they're kind of like war horses in the sense that they could be
Always.
generic. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. In this shirt, has been in skating 100 times since well. Jeff Buttle did it first in some like
Oh, he did.
exhibition in Japan, like in probably 2012, 2013, and then it was obscure. And then Kevin Amos in 2018, 2019, that was his free skate. And that to me is like the ultimate version of this. I don't think
I would
anyone has
agree.
come close with it. Everyone else is kind of just like generic whatever. But we see it all over the place, and I feel like with Max, it was kind of just another, it was there, whatever. But for him, pretty good. He's not typically such a good fall skater. Usually it's nationals. He finished fourth at nationals three times in a row, I'm pretty sure. So he stepped it up a little bit. I don't think he's completely out of the question for an Olympic run, but again, this would have to
I would agree
be,
with you there. Like
yeah,
I would say to make the case, he really needed to place above Torgashev here more,
yeah,
but who knows how Torgashev really competes the rest of the season
yeah,
too,
yeah,
especially after Worlds last year. So, that spot's
yeah,
still to me not a lock
yeah,
at all,
yeah.
like the top two are. And so yeah, I would say like Noma is probably that other in addition to Moki.
Or Jimmy Ma. We never know what Jimmy Ma is going to do. So, and then you have
That's fair.
Jacob Sanchez too. There's a lot that could do it. Obviously, we said it looks like it's Torgachev's spot to lose, but Naumov was not. It wasn't that much of a distance in this competition, and he didn't even really skate all that well.
Yeah.
So, we'll see. And then just I know you, Frangipani. He finished this last year. However, you were a huge fan of his short program.
I really do. It's just fun. Like
Mhm.
it's like okay, the shirt's insane. The program also
Shirt
just
is
kind of
insane. It is insane.
insane, right? I don't know, but there's just kind of like this really lightness to it. But like it was just a really fun program. So like I just really appreciate that. It was just giving us the typical stuff. I feel like he does kind of meet that like James Brown vibe a lot, and it's
Hmm
so
hmm
hard for skaters to really do that.
hmm
Whereas he's
hmm
just fully invested in the program too, right? And
Yeah.
disasters aside, in terms of like his skating in general, I
Well,
felt like it was a big contrast to the long program to where like it just felt really flat to me. Or I'm like, oh,
yeah,
it's just again an off the rack Godfather program that could anyone be
yeah,
skating to. Oh, it's
yeah,
the Olympics are in Italy and you're trying to make the Olympic team. Got it. Okay, cool.
yeah.
Like that's it.
Yeah, so that wraps up the entire competition. One thing I do want to say though, we read the comments, we know like there was a Reddit thread about us after we went into depth. Oh, two things though. So this ice dance comparison thing we did at the Olympic qualifier, there was a Reddit thread and one of the comments was basically that we tried to be like the discerning voice and like give this counter opinion that matched what the judges gave. But I'll tell you right now, what we do, Thomas and I watch these things separately and we write our own notes. And then when we're discussing, we kind of combine our notes and we're like, okay, we don't agree on some things, we agree on some things. Thomas is like a guru as far as ice dance, the meticulous rules go. And I remember the year that Hubble and Donahue got that stationary lift base call, you said it in real time. You literally said it in real time before the call. I'm
Yes.
pretty sure.
Yeah, no, I
Exactly.
did.
Before that was even so yeah, the thing is like Thomas came to me and he's like, "Listen, I don't find this result to be all that controversial for all these reasons. It had nothing to do with what the judges thought because we could care less about what these judges
Yeah.
think. I mean, we don't agree with them most of the time.
I
So it
personally would
wasn't
prefer, Rayton and Mazurov at the Olympics. Personally.
Yeah, I mean that's what we
I
want. Yeah,
enjoy their skating
exactly.
so much more. Like
Yeah,
I
exactly.
no doubt
But
about it. They just yeah.
when you're watching in real time like he did, he saw a lot of things. This was not he didn't even have to go back and watch this over and over and over again to get to these conclusions. Yes, we had to rewatch the choreographic step to try to figure out where the spacing issue was, why they got called. But as far as all the other stuff, he called that in real time. So no, it was not let's go back and match what the judges said in the technical panel. This was
And
this was
clearly we
all on his
didn't do
own.
that today. I don't feel like we ever did that
Yeah.
because I'm
No, we
complaining all the
don't.
time about the
Yeah.
results.
Exactly. That's the
I've been
thing.
right. Like I just think about who's three-time reigning world champions in ice dance right now, and
Yeah.
yeah, no. Yeah, so like if I'm just thinking about the overall competition, what my favorite moment was, I feel like this competition sent a lot of shockwaves out, in
hmm
terms of like
hmm
ice dance and women's
hmm
skating, like really big. And it was hard for me to like discern between the two. And so I'm just like, you know what, if I'm gonna pick like my favorite moment from like this competition, I'm just gonna just ignore those two right now because I couldn't pick
hmm
between the two. So let me just pick something safe. I'm gonna say it's really Ilia's short program. Again, I'm just still just this cognitive dissonance to where like intellectually I'm like this is not good. I should not enjoy this at all, but I loved it. I'm all
hmm
here for it. I'm all for like Ilia's short program.
hmm
It's purely just because Ilia is becoming more and more singular. I don't know how
hmm
else to describe that, but love it. Keep it, keep it up.
For me it was Fournier-Beaudry and Cizeron starting their coronation, if you will. I mean, they're in France. People can argue that the scores were way inflated, but I really, if we're looking subjectively at what the scores constitute and what goes into them, I can't really find fault with most of it. So I think that we were, like I said, we thought they would be a podium threat, but now we're really getting to the point where we say, you think now already? I think I could say now they're favorites for Olympic gold, but I think it needs to be like the nail needs to be shut and it will be in
Right, right.
December,
You
you
needs
know?
to there needs to be some repetition of these results and these
Yeah.
scores, right? And then
Yeah.
maybe you'll see like, oh, instead of a one-off, it's actually a pattern.
Yeah.
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 hmm
Yeah.
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 But like you can see it here. I think what the biggest takeaway is just kind of how judges between the rhythm dance and the free dance started changing their tune, right?
Yeah.
Where like you see some of these judges giving them eights, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, here's a 10.
Well, listen, you remember again, you go back to
What?
2013 Worlds, and Frank Carroll even said this. He's like, Dennis 10 is getting scores in like the sixes and the sevens for his short program. Now all of a sudden he's in contention to win the world championship, and they're throwing him like eights and nines in the free skate like a day later. So of course we already know they're gonna throw out whatever the vibe is of the day, and we say this repeatedly. So we know the judging is a little bit sketchy in that regard. It's a lot of psychological whatever maneuverability of it. But yeah, I do think this was like their moment to be like, hello, we're in it for the gold. And I think
Right.
that Guignard Fabbri, like I said, the biggest takeaway that I have is that they need to withdraw from NHK. That is their only option.
And I was gonna, I guess we'll end too about some of the scoring too. If people are gonna, call us out, let's call some of these judges out. And so like instantly too, I look at some of what the judges did. I look at the U.S. judge, right,
Hmm.
who gave Fournier-Beaudry and Cizeron fourth in skating skills in the rhythm dance,
Hmm.
and now all of a sudden the free dance, they're number one.
Yeah.
But in the same judge
Well,
is the only one who doesn't give them any fives.
because he fell.
Oh,
Listen,
fell.
but I know that's the thing. I see so many comments all the time. I remember when Patrick Chan was winning competitions. How can you give him skating skill score when he falls 4 times? Because that has nothing to do. Those don't go hand in hand. Yes, you need to drop the score down, but that doesn't go hand in hand. The ability to stay on your feet, yes, that is skating skills, but that's not what they're asking for in that score.
Even then, if you're looking at the free dance and you look at, Guignard and Fabbri, even the Italian judge changes there too. Now all of a sudden they're third in PCS come the free dance when the same judge was giving them, second, a lot of first
Well,
places in composition and skating skills for that rhythm dance with
well,
composition is number one. I don't know about that.
don't you feel like it's still an issue of staying within this corridor and
You are.
oh
I think
no,
that's
we
true.
we have to do what everyone else is doing. And you have four judges here that kind of went out on their own, but because they all did the same thing, they're really not going to be outside the corridor, more or less. So I really think something's going on there. I really think something was going on with that. And it's too glaring all the way down the lower GOEs, all the way down the PCS, kind of being uniform, all of a sudden deciding to dump them at the same time. That's something we'll keep an eye on. I mean, I doubt
Yeah.
that these same judges will be around in later events, but if it continues to be a direct comparison to Ice Academy Montreal teams, then yeah, I would say, that's interesting.
And
So yeah,
then,
we'll keep an eye.
and it's not even like, the complaints are, it's the panel or it's whatever. But I look at Fournier-Beaudry and Cizeron. There's a lot of judges here who have no reason to give them high scores who did. Like the
Exactly.
Canadian judge gave them what? Oh my God, only like 0.75 points away from perfect PCS.
Yeah. Yeah.
Every choreographic element is a five.
Yeah.
Like it's like so the Canadian judge, I would say like when there's not a Canadian skater really in competition, they tend to judge
Even so, though,
pretty
even
like
so,
based on
like,
skating. Say
yeah.
what?
Even so, even if, I mean, like, even if there is no Canadian skater, like, you would think, like, the mentality would be, oh no, they can't go up too high because this is a direct competition to my team. But that's enough for me to say,
Yeah,
it's the real deal. They're
it
the
is the
real
real deal.
deal.
And then here's the final takeaway.
It's not overinflation. Their free dance is a moment. It is the strongest free dance out of any team in this Olympic cycle. I would say that pretty confidently.
Same.
Nothing has really come close. And I think they're only going to elevate it. I mean, they're still a
Right.
new team. They have time. That
Again,
rhythm, okay, and also, you did say the rhythm dance is like a lot of the same stuff that the old one was, but this is a new program as well because we haven't said this on here, but
oh yeah.
because they decided that because this is what's so crazy to me, and we're going to go into another tangent now. I thought we were done, but The song was released in like August or October or something of 1989. The album, which is what most people consider to be the release date, was released in 1990. A judge, I think it was a US judge, I don't know who it was, but somebody pointed out that this would not be within the rules because it was released in 1989 and therefore it's the 80s, blah, blah, blah. They have to change their program altogether, which probably for the better. I think that
Me too.
it was a blessing in disguise. However, this is what's so foolish to me. Yes, it's not within the rules because 1989, even though the album was 1990. Yet, you could go on ChatGPT right now, type, I would like a song, please, that sounds like it's 90s vibe, that has a really dance party, and it needs to be created right now. And then I could go skate to it, and they're going to be like, oh, perfect. Sounds good to me. It's out of control.
Right,
It is
right,
out of
right.
control.
Because why stick to a release date when you'll literally let someone skate to something generated 5 minutes ago?
Yeah, exactly. So I understand the rules are there. I understand. I'm not saying they should break the rules, but it is like a little nuance with this release date versus the album release date. Because if you're looking at the album, then you're going to see one date. If you're looking at the single, you're seeing another. Whatever. I mean, it
Yeah.
worked in their favor anyways. So
But like,
it's
that's the thing too, coming into this, it was more just my brain was thinking, how will Fournier-Beaudry and Cizeron be scored? And
Mhm.
now my brain's just like totally on a different track. It's totally
Now
just,
how high are they going to
oh,
go?
wow, this is the
Mhm.
real deal. I didn't
Mhm.
even want to be this impressed. I didn't want to like them this much. But literally, I'm just like, I even feel that with me. If the I've been feeling this, like I feel like starved for good ice dance that we haven't seen
Mhm.
in years. And
Mhm.
again, this is bringing me back to like
17.
2019 levels of skating that we
Mhm.
just has not existed, right? So
Yeah.
like I'm all here for it. Just thank you for coming back. Cizeron, whatever it needed to happen to get here. I'm just so appreciative that like I'm able to just enjoy ice dance almost like an
Yeah.
art again. So thank you
Yeah.
just for that.
So that is, we could keep going on forever, but that is
No.
basically the summary of the Grand Prix International de France. This is the 30th year of the Grand Prix.
Oh
Like I
wow,
said,
really?
at some point during the Grand Prix, I would really like to do like a retrospective. I already like mapped out the whole thing, but I was around. This was my peak skating fandom when it started in '95. So we'll get around to that.
Hmm.
Next week we have Cup of China.
Cup of China, yeah. And I don't know
Yeah.
if I'm watching that live with you.
Those
We'll
are my
see.
work hours, so for me it will be easy.
I'll be
Uh,
recovering from a dental surgery, so we'll see how.
okay. Okay. I work overnights anyways. I work 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. So this is like perfect timing for me. I'm not gonna have to adjust my schedule at all.
I will try.
Yeah. Sounds good. We'll still get something out really early. From
Yeah,
now on, we're gonna try to get things out like same day because why wait when we have so many strong opinions? In a few days, I might not feel as strongly anymore. So we got to get them out right away.
exactly,
But
exactly.
yeah, anyway, so this is our wrap up for the French Grand Prix. Like I said, controversy, excitement, a little bit of everything. We will be back next week for Cup of China. As always, comments, questions, email us, write comments, start a Reddit thread, do whatever you need to do. We're always here for suggestions and improvements.
And tell us why we're wrong. I love
Yeah.
those.
Yeah, bring out the rule book if you want to argue why we're wrong. I
Yeah.
love
And
people that
again,
are quantitative. Yeah.
we can be wrong. And if
Yeah.
anything, like I appreciate it because like if we got something wrong, we are getting more educated. And so I really
Yeah.
appreciate that
Yeah.
stuff. So please,
Yeah.
yeah.
In the end, we're fans that know the rule book and we try to use quantitative statements as like this is why this doesn't make sense rather than just going on feeling. But if you know or see something that maybe we don't see, then feel free to share your opinions because we in the end we're fans of the sport. And I used to do double jumps. Like I did a double flip a few times in my life and try to rotate double axle. That's
Oh no, no. For
about
me,
the
doubles
extent.
only off ice. Never.
That's the extent for me was trying double axle. That was it. So I'm not doing these quads and these triples. So yeah, we're gonna leave it there with that. This is the skating session. My name is Tony Wheeler.
And I'm Thomas Wu.
Thank you for watching. As always, have a good day.
Right, bye everyone.